Hey, 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 what is up? What is good? Welcome to another great episode of The Real Deal. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back on this Saturday, the last day of August. So, you know what time it is, almost September. Football season is upon us. Let's get it. So, welcome to another great episode of The Real Deal, another great edition of the podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Like I said, glad to be back. August 31st, the last day of the month. Fall weather is starting to pick up a little bit. It's getting a little cooler. It's that in between summer and fall. But we know when September hits, we know what it is. It is football season, college football. Today's the official first week of college football. NFL is next week. We got Thursday night football. We got Friday night football. We got Sunday slew of games and Monday night football. So I cannot wait. And today I have a long 3 hour marathon type of show here. A lot of great guests coming up as well. So get your popcorn ready, as T.O. would say, and sit back, and you're going to get some of the best preview show. We're going to talk a little, we're talking NFL upcoming season, talking maybe some sports betting, fantasy football, because I know fantasy drafts have been the last couple of weeks. Fantasy football drafts. I've already had two. I got my third one tomorrow, my third and last one tomorrow in fantasy football. So we got a lot of coverage. We got you covered throughout these next 3 hours, and a lot of great guests are stopping by. Returning guests, most of them, everybody's a returning guest coming in to the show. Again, I'm gonna be with you for the next 3 hours. So sit back, get your popcorn ready, get ready to get some of the best preview show. And if you have any questions, or if you want any comments, in the chat on Facebook, YouTube, as well, Twitter. So I'm checking everything there. So if you want to do some predictions or have a little, with your team, rep your team and all that. So definitely get into the chat with all those previews and things like that. If you want to talk a little certain players, storylines heading into the NFL season. But again, like I said, I'm with you for the next 3 hours. But you can follow the show on all podcasts and social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There at Get the Real Deal on on the social media platforms, their podcast platforms, whether it's Google, or no, there's no Google Play anymore. Can't say that no more. YouTube Music now, Google Play is now with YouTube, but Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Spreaker. We're also the BS3 network, BS3 TV network, BS3 TV live.com is where you can find that. The Roku channel, BS3. If you download the app, the BS3 TV app, you can find all of the content, all of the shows there. Ben Sutter, the CEO and creator of BS3 Network, where you can find my podcast. You can also find all the other shows there. We got a variety of different shows on the network. BS3 Network, BS3network.com, BS3TVLive.com is where it's at, and the Roku channel, BS3 Network, BS3 TV as well. So again, find all the shows there, all the content there. And so my first guest is coming up in about 10 minutes or so. Looking forward to having her back on the show again. Like I said, I got a lot of great guests coming up. And the NFL season is here. And I'm very, very excited. This mega NFL preview. I've been working on this for the last couple of weeks, and wanted to get back into. I haven't done a 3 or 4 hour show in a long time, so I'm looking forward to that as well coming up. So, but let me start since I got about 10 minutes, so I'm going to give you some of my biggest stories I'm looking forward to. I'm going to talk about all this with my guests too, but I want to talk about a little bit what I'm looking forward to heading into this upcoming NFL season. There's quite a few storylines. I think one of the biggest storylines, especially in media, NFL media, is Tom Brady, and he's been retired for the last couple of years, and he's finally going to be debuting as a broadcaster. Now, he signed a deal 2 years ago. It was 10 years at like 370 million. I think that was the final number. So over 350 plus million for 10 years. So he's going to be getting about 37 million a year. So he's the highest paid broadcaster in all of sports. So the arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's getting into the booth with Kevin Harlan, or not Kevin Harlan. Oh, geez, I'm blanking out on the name. Who his broadcast partner is? Oh my goodness, I should know this offhand and everything. But we know that we know that he's signed a big deal here too as well. So looking forward to seeing what Kevin Burkhardt. I just blanked out on that. Kevin Burkhardt can't make that. Kevin Burkhardt broadcast part. He's replacing Greg Olsen on Fox. So I'm looking forward to see how Tom Brady does with Kevin Burkhardt and then that Fox team as well. But it's going to be interesting seeing Tom Brady and what he's going to bring to the broadcast booth, because a lot of eyes are going to be on him. I'm sure people are going to try and see what he brings to the table. I mean, he's just coming off of retirement. He's been all over the place, with the Fox meetings. He's been on Cowherd, so he's making his rounds of trying to navigate what he's going to do. So I'm looking forward to see how that's going to work out, because Kevin Burkhardt is a great broadcaster, and he's definitely helps out his broadcasters, his partners, his analysts with setting him up for success, because Greg Olsen was really good and they were a really good duo. So Tom Brady's good. They're doing big shoes to fill that he's going to be for Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen moves to the second team there. That team of now Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, and Aaron Andrews. That should be interesting moving forward. But I think that's a big storyline. And also with Tom Brady as well, he's facing severe restrictions too as a TV broadcaster immediately due to pending Raiders ownership, because he's part owner of the Raiders, and there's a conflict of interest of him being part owner and also broadcasting. So I had Mike Sando on the show yesterday, and we were discussing this. So check out that video. Will be up on my Instagram and Twitter very soon. But we were talking about this. Mike Sando of The Athletic, who does the QB tiers article every year, the annual article. So check that out. Follow Mike Sando on Twitter, and he goes through the QB tiers. This is the 11th annual QB tiers article, and we were discussing about Tom Brady and these restrictions, and he brought up a good point about, will teams want to give any information to someone like to Tom Brady, as he's as being now one of the number one team on Fox, broadcast team on Fox, and when he's into these team meetings with coaches and with some of the players and some owners, they're not going to want to give him any information at all, especially being a part owner himself. So I don't blame them wanting to do it. Like, think it. He has a meeting with the Raiders, or not the Raiders, the Chiefs, someone in their division, the Raiders division, or the Chargers, or the Broncos, and he's talking with Andy Reid, or he's talking with Harbaugh, or anything like that. They're not going to want to discuss anything with him now, and him actually using that as leverage to tell the Raiders of things like that. Now, Tom Brady will be a professional, I'm sure, but there's a lot of angles to that because, like I said, he's gonna uh, with meetings. They're not gonna give him any information. They're gonna try to keep a lot of that stuff uh, to themselves and not want to give up much of that. So I'm just looking at the articles. Like I said, back in May 2023, it was reported that NFL legend Tom Brady was in discussions to become a limited partner, co-partner, owner of the Vegas Raiders. More than a year later, his purchase has yet to be approved. Why? There are several reasons. Among those reasons are that Mark Davis apparently proposed giving Brady a steep discount over market value, which did not go very well with other owners. Another reason has to do with Brady's new gig as broadcaster with Fox. NFL owners would not be excited about a partial owner of an NFL franchise getting the kind of access other broadcasters have with NFL teams. That's why the league has put together a list of broadcast restrictions for Brady if his ownership bid were to be approved. Now, I know this is something Tom Brady wanted to do and become an owner, but and he's taking this broadcasting seriously because he took a whole year to prepare for this. And because he retired 2 years ago, last year he got his reps in, practicing, and he said he didn't want to just jump right in to broadcasting. But this is a conflict of interest. I would definitely say, and but it would need to follow league constitution. Brady will be able to call Raiders games, but a league constitution bylaws prohibiting public criticism of other teams as well as officials. ESPN reports that the league presented a slide titled "The Brady Broadcast Restrictions to Owners During League Meetings." Here are some of the rules: not permitted to be in another team's facility, cannot witness practice, and cannot attend broadcast production meetings in person or virtually. Broadcasters usually receive all the access when preparing for their matchups. Brady's very smart enough to be able to navigate and get information in other ways, but I could see why there would be such severe restrictions. So that's a story to look out. I think to look um, towards heading into the season. Another big storyline I believe that I'm looking forward to is can the Chiefs repeat? And that's a hard thing to do because the Chiefs, the back-to-back Super Bowl champs, they have the best quarterback, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks ever in Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback today. And again, check out Mike Sando's QB tiers, who he got all the first place votes to be the number one quarterback, which he is, best player in the league, I believe, Patrick Mahomes. Uh, to try to Andy Reid, one of the greatest coaches ever. I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, as you guys can see, and that know me, Eagles fan, and always been a big Andy Reid fan. When he coached here in Philly, and he coached now is coaching the Kansas City Chiefs and winning 3 championships there, winning 3 Super Bowls there. It's gonna be interesting to see how if they're able to three-peat because it's that's a hard thing to do in the NFL. And um, long as they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and now they have now receivers because that's what they were lacking last season, and they were still able to get the job done because of the greatness of the coach and quarterback. They had a good defense. They still bringing back a lot of a really good defense. Still have Travis Kelce as one of the top tight ends in the league. So for many years, so the Chiefs are on another run to try to win another Super Bowl and three-peat. Now, teams in the AFC, which the AFC, especially at the top, are loaded. And teams are gonna who are the top teams that can actually stop them just in the AFC? Who has a chance to stop them? So you got teams like the Baltimore Ravens, who had the best record last season, and just couldn't get the job done in the AFC Championship. But they're bringing back a solid defense. You got the two-time MVP in Lamar Jackson there as well, still, and that offense can they put they were putting up points and things like that. So you still have the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're a team to look for. What about the New York Jets? Who would have said that? Aaron Rodgers coming off a serious Achilles injury. Can he stay healthy with that defense and those? And he's got Webb. He's got the run game. He's got Garrett Wilson as a receiver. Got the receiving, a little good receiving core. Can Aaron Rodgers? What Aaron Rodgers are we going to get? Are we going to get that Green Bay Aaron Rodgers? The 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers. Because that was a couple of years ago. Are we going to get that Aaron Rodgers, or Aaron Rodgers 4 plays into last season got injured, coming off an Achilles injury, and he's older now. So you have them. Can they make some noise? I think Buffalo being slept on very much so. And I could see the Bills. I mean, still got Josh Allen, one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Yes, they did lose Stephon Diggs, lost some pieces on defense, but I can see them challenging them Cincinnati Bengals if Joe Burrow can stay healthy. So many different teams at the top of the AFC can really challenge, can make some noise and challenge the Chiefs. But I'm not going to keep my guess much longer. So here's my first guess on this mega NFL preview show. I'm so excited to have her back on the show. It's been a little bit, so welcome to the show, Gabby Hurlbut of the Boston Ballin'. Let me do it right. Boston Ballin' podcast. Gabby, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it. Welcome back.
I was going to say it wouldn't be the same if you didn't say it like that.
Yes.
You have to say it like that.
Yes, I have to say it like
thanks
that.
For having me on, though. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. I'm like I said, I'm doing this big preview. Me and you've done so many shows together on your podcast, on mine, and we always do a somewhat of a preview. So I got a slew of guests coming up to talk some NFL football, which, like I said, is here. And I had to get you on because we've done this for the last 2, 3 years, 4 years or so. So again, thank you for taking the time to jump on this preview extravaganza show.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'm so excited for football to be starting. I can't believe it's already starting. I feel like This year has flown by, and I feel like we were just watching the Super Bowl, and now all of a sudden football's here again. So it's kind of crazy.
I know. Right. Football is here, and you're right. It just seemed like we were just watching the Super Bowl and the Chiefs beating the 49ers, and we had the free agency and the draft and training camp and preseason, and now we're a week away, like less than a week away for the NFL season. So I know you're excited. You've been you got your podcast as well, the Boston Ballin' podcast, and you've had some great guests over the last few months preparing for this season. So how's the Boston Ballin' podcast first and foremost going, and everything, and what you got coming up on Boston Ballin' with the NFL season? Like I said, less than a week away.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I cannot believe Boston Ballin' is almost 4 years old now, which is crazy to think about because I started it during COVID. So it's kind of crazy how far it's come in that time. I've had some great guests. Recently actually had a Olympian who had just gotten back from the Paris Olympics for swimming, and she's from Massachusetts. So it was a great way to kind of talk to somebody who is local to the area and learn a lot about her and her journey to the Olympics. So I've had a lot of different, unique type of guests.
Uh-oh. We lost Gabby. Let's see if we can get her back on here. Oh, there you are.
Hi.
No problem. That's all. You were talking about the guests you were having on Boston Ballin'.
Oh yeah, no, it was. It's definitely been a good experience for sure. And I have some Patriots reporters lined up
Nice.
to come on here to help talk some Patriots football. So looking forward to that in the next few weeks.
Yes, we're gonna get into the Patriots, and we can't talk Patriots without can't talk without talking to Patriots with you and everything too. So, and also you're also on Locked On Red Sox as well. So I think you just said you just had a 1 year on that, right?
Yeah, in June it was a year. So that's
Yeah.
been crazy too, because that's absolutely flown by. And that's just talking all things Red Sox all the time. So I definitely get my full baseball fix for sure here. And that's been a crazy experience too. I've gotten to talk to some really cool Red Sox related guests, like former players, current players,
Mhm.
reporters, the Red Sox pitching coach I had on the show recently. So definitely have been able to get a good amount of people on there, which is good.
Yes, yeah, you've been grinding for the last years. I mean, just not with the podcast and things like that, just in general, because you made an announcement about a week or two ago. You got another gig coming up too, so congratulations with that. Yeah, I know you tweeted that out maybe a week or two ago. So talk a little bit about the new is a broadcasting gig, I believe. So talk about that. And congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. So it's a social media platform called
Mhm.
Assist, and it basically is a streaming service essentially. So I'll be broadcasting, doing play by play for Boston sports games. So Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins,
Mhm.
Celtics, you name it. And people will actually be able to connect my broadcast to their TV. So they'll be able to watch the action on screen, but hear my audio instead of the audio that is given to them on TV, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I'm glad. Like I said, you're just expanding and just keep growing into this. Uh, the podcast and streaming and broadcasting space. I mean, you just like you just said, just keep rising, rising. So congratulations on all and everything you got going on. And you're staying busy. And on top of that, you're planning a wedding and you're about to be getting married soon too.
Yeah, October, mid
Yeah,
October. So
yeah.
that's pretty close now. So it's been a crazy, super busy year. And I think that's part of why it's gone so fast, because all this
Mhm.
wedding planning has definitely kept me busy also on top of everything else.
Yes, yes. On top of everything, and you're like, yeah, I'm about to be getting married in about 2 months.
Yeah, right. No,
On
literally.
top of
And
everything-
I'm
on
so
top of
excited
everything.
for that as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a big life changing life changing thing, and so yeah, much great success for you. Everything's just coming together for you and everything too. So, but let's transition into this upcoming NFL season. Before we get into the Patriots, I was talking about your beloved QB Tom Brady, who will be doing his broadcasting debut next week with he's broadcast with the Cleveland Browns and Dallas Cowboys, which is going to be that's going to do big numbers. Cowboy games always do big numbers, but he's getting right into it, but I think that's one of the biggest storylines of the upcoming season is Brady finally making his debut and filling big shoes, as I said, with Greg Olson, who they had a good chemistry and everything. So with him and Kevin Burkhardt. But Brady makes his debut, getting paid a lot of money, about 37 million a year. And but what's your expectations with Tom Brady, and how do you think he will do broadcasting?
Yeah, I'm actually super excited about it. I
Mhm.
think, this is somebody who genuinely loves the game and is passionate about the game. That's why he played it for so long. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't want to let go of football. So he played for so many years, and he has seen a lot of success in the sport. And so I think his ability to have a lot of knowledge about different aspects of the game and kind of the hardships that go with playing the game, because he's just been in it for so long, combined with
Mhm.
his passion for the sport, I think is going to make him really entertaining to listen to. And I was actually happy to hear that he's staying involved with football in some capacity, just because I think it's such a
Yeah.
big part of him that there's no way he was going to just up and leave the sport altogether. I just was not really picturing that happening. So I'm happy he's staying involved. And I think just the way he talks about it, and even when he was playing, the way he presented the sport during interviews in a very professional manner, I think it'll actually be a good experience being able to hear his voice on there.
Yeah, it's going to be, this is Tom Brady, as we said, one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. And he played for 20 plus years at a high success, high rate success, and 7 Super Bowls. I mean, as a Patriots fan, so you got to see and witness the greatness of him, and now translating it to broadcasting. Interesting thing too that I'm looking forward to and see. Like you said, he's coming like a lot of broadcasters when they retire. He's just like newly retired 2 years ago, and for him to come right into it, so he has a really good pulse of the league. Like on some other broadcasters who come in, it takes some years before, and they're removed from the game 10 years or 10 more years. But he's coming in with like, fresh takes and things like that, kind of like what Tony Romo did when he started too. So I'm looking to see, like, he knows like part of the league, unlike like Troy Aikman, who retired many, many years ago, but still has a good pulse of the league, of course, because he's done it for so long. But Tom Brady's coming right in, right from just off of retirement, and look at, he's already criticizing the way quarterbacks are, how quarterbacks are perceived, and and that's why I want to see if he's going to criticize the league when things are not, they're not great, things like that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing too with him is that he's seen the quarterbacks of old, like when he started playing, and just how different quarterbacks were. And I feel like just the style of the game has changed, and the way the quarterbacks now approach the game is different. But he played long enough to where he could play against a lot of these young quarterbacks of this generation now. So I think he can provide a good perspective of just how the game has really changed in those years since when he was starting to play and up to now, really, with these new age quarterbacks.
Yeah, for a guy that he can evaluate quarterback play for sure. He played at the highest level, and one of the greatest. So I could see him really knows, like, okay, this is how it is. This is what I could tell you what quarterback play really looks like. Who are the best quarterbacks? Who needs to improve and things like that. So I'm looking to see. I want to see what type of style what he's gonna present to. And Kevin Burkhardt's gonna really set him up for success. Greg Olsen was really good, and as the broadcast partner, he's going to set him up really well. And having Aaron Andrews there as well, and Tom Rinaldi, that team itself should be very strong. So I could see Tom Brady really being successful with it. But I was talking also about him now facing severe restrictions, being maybe part-time owner of the Las Vegas Raiders too, and that conflict of interest there. What would you say about that when you heard that? It's like, yeah, that makes total sense. Tom Brady being also maybe co-owner, at least part-time owner of the Raiders, but being in like meetings with like someone like Andy Reid and with players like Patrick Mahomes, they're not gonna give up any information to them because you're part owner of the Raiders, especially within your division or who the Raiders are playing their schedule. I think that was a big story too.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because there will definitely be limited insight that he'll be getting, and I think that might put him at a little bit of a disadvantage. But I think at the same time, the Raiders certainly are lucky to have somebody like Tom Brady. I think that's like taking the knowledge of everything that he's accomplished and kind of applying it to their organization, I think kind of puts them in a really good spot moving forward in terms of their future. But the conflict of interest is a huge thing because obviously they're not just going to openly give away game strategy or anything like that, or even like their future plans for their organizations, because like, why would they do that? You know what I mean? Like, they can't. It doesn't make sense.
Right. And that's totally right. It's like they can't, he's in a meeting and he's in a broadcast meeting and just get information and just for his to prepare for the game. It makes for him to try to get like inside knowledge. They're like, we're not going to provide you with this. And he's in the room with Andy Reid, and he's asking. Now he could get generic questions, but they're not going to give him any game plan things like that. It's like, come on, now that's like, we're not. You can't get into it. So I was reading in the beginning of the show, and it was like, there's restrictions. He's not permitted to be at another team's facility, cannot witness practice, cannot attend broadcast production meetings, which makes sense. So, and usually broadcasters receive all this access when preparing for their matchups. It enhances the overall product of the telecast. Brady will be denied these benefits. So, and he's also
I'd be interested then too in seeing that for that reason, like seeing like if it decreases the quality of the content at all that he's delivering, because he's not like a typical broadcaster from that perspective. So he might have a little bit of a disadvantage relative to what other broadcasters might have, because the resources / information he's going to get is just going to be significantly less now that he's kind of taking on both of these positions. And there's just a very, there's very much a sense of we have to kind of be careful with what we share in front of him type thing, whereas they might not have that same mentality with other broadcasters.
Right. Yeah. He's going to have to get information in other ways. And like I said, he's a very intelligent, individual. So is just going to, you're right. It's just going to be a different way of how he gets information or how he gets being able to present. So he's going to have to do even probably more extra research and not really get insider information, just get it in a different way. So I could see him just getting I think he'll be fine. It's just going to be a non-traditional way of how he gets his information, how he prepares for his broadcast. But but it's going to, I'm looking forward to see how it all translates for Tom Brady. And he's going to get criticism. He got criticism as a quarterback. He's going to get criticism as a broadcaster, just like any other broadcaster. Because and I had Mike Sando on my show yesterday from The Athletic, and we were talking about that. And he was saying, John Madden did the same thing. And remember, he was coaching and also trying to broadcast itself, and he went right from there. And they're like, wait, hold on. This man's a coach, and now like how are we going to give him information that he's going to try to broadcast too on top of that as well. But it worked out for Madden. So, but Tom Brady, I like I said, the one thing, Tony Romo, he was beloved in the beginning, but then it's almost like his shtick now is like he's decreased a little bit, and he's getting criticism now. So we'll see if Brady gets beloved in the beginning, and then hopefully he can sustain good. There's always going to be those that criticize, but just that hopefully he gets a fair deal when it comes to like Twitter and media and things like that. But we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, I think he's used to criticism too, because obviously so many people disliked him because of how successful he was as a quarterback. And I think, so many years there was this constant like group of people always talking about like, is it like it's all Belichick, or Brady wouldn't be, who he is if it weren't for Belichick, and trying to like discredit some of what he really did as a quarterback. And so I think he is kind of used to that type of criticism. So I almost feel like he might not be as bothered by it as like some people might be, because I think he's just been like, there's been this target on his back his entire career of he's so good that people were hating on that,
You're right. Yeah, and then that's what it's going to be. When you're that successful, you're one of the greatest athletes of all time.
Yeah.
You're going to get some type of criticism. And now they're looking at, okay, where's going to make a mistake? It's like all broadcasters going to make mistakes. They're going to do that. And this is his first debut. So I think they like the criticism should just wait till, he gets later in his career, later on in the year. Then you can, I think, make a fair assessment of, is he going to be really good, or is he gonna, is gonna need some work?
Yeah.
And so not the first game. We're gonna see people just jump on him after the first game and say, "Oh, he didn't do this. Oh, he didn't say this. He didn't say this right." And then, so that's what's just in general with fans and things like that. But that's a big story coming up. But all right, let's move into your New England Patriots. I know we talked about a little bit about this the last time you were on the show. I think it was after the draft. We actually had an episode. We were talking about this. But what do you think? How do you feeling about this upcoming season? And Jacoby Brissett was named the starting quarterback to start the season. But you do have Drake May, the number 3 overall pick, who's the future. Were you surprised that Brissett was named the starting quarterback? And how long do you think it's going to take before Drake May is actually the starter? Because I know that probably will come. That's going to be coming up in the season.
Yeah, I actually wasn't surprised. I did see people on Twitter who were surprised by it, and wanted May to start. And while I get that perspective of, he was the number 3 overall pick, like, we're really excited about him. He's the future of the team. Let's throw him into the fire. I'm not surprised by it. And I also agree with the decision to start Brissett because they brought him in with the intention of making him that bridge guy to give whoever they draft some time to really learn and develop before they get thrown in. And the Patriots have just really made it so clear with all the moves that they've made between the offseason and now that this is very much a rebuilding year for them. And I think having somebody like Jerod Mayo in there as the head coach who's fully committed to a rebuild is the best way to go, because I think in the last couple of years of Belichick's time here with the Patriots, I don't know that he was fully committed to seeing a rebuild through. And I think there was an issue of they weren't fully doing the rebuild the right way. So then they were kind of stuck in this state of, well, we have a quarterback in Mac Jones who isn't going to be effective here anymore because we didn't really give him the resources to be able to succeed. And so they were in this tough spot of being a mediocre football team because their defense would keep them in games, but they didn't really have an offense to go along with that. Now I think they're genuinely trying to create a new Patriots team that can be sustainable long term, and it takes time to do that if they're going to do it the right way. And I think if they had thrown Drake May in there right away, the offensive line is very much a concern right now for this team, so he wouldn't have had a lot of protection out there. And I think throwing him out there right now didn't make a whole lot of sense. I think he knows, because he also acknowledged it too, that he needs more time to learn before he gets thrown in there. And I think Brissett is a great quarterback for him to learn under. I do think later on in the season is when we see May out there. I don't expect them to, throw him out there right away. I think they'll definitely give it at least a few weeks of Brissett starting, have May watch and learn and take in what it takes to play at that elite of a level. And then when they're, very much not in contention anymore, then they put Drake May out there to say, okay, this is your time now. Like, let's ease you into it so you can figure out and feel comfortable with being a part of this offense. But I think they're still very much working on building this offense still to allow him to be successful in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Jerod Mayo, it looks like he said they're doing a proper rebuild, like they're doing an actual rebuild. And as you said, as you covering the Patriots, being a Patriots fan, you're seeing especially it's gonna be a different, as they call it, the Patriots way, as they always said, the Patriots way, the Bill Belichick, Tom Brady way. But it's a new coaching, and it's going to be a new system. Now Jerod Mayo, he's been part of that. He's been part of the Patriots for a long time, but he's bringing all his principles and what he wants to do as a coach. So it's a new offense, a new defense, a new culture. It looks like too, and in football, we both know for watching and covering and do things, we know there's always a culture. Culture is, especially in football, goes a long way, and you have success with it. And the Patriots have had success. So Mayo now he overhauled the entire coaching staff for the most part too, and he wants to probably start the season on a good note. And I guess throwing Drake May out there just immediately might have been like, was he ready? Not sure. Using a veteran like Jacoby Brissett, who's been through it. He's been a starter. He's been a backup. He knows new offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, who was in Cleveland, has worked with him, so he's familiar with that type of offense he wants to put in. And you say he's the bridge gap quarterback. I thought it was probably the best move as of right now, where Drake May can learn. But then he was a high draft pick. He's gonna get out there probably sooner than probably they want to, because we've seen with quarterbacks that sometimes you can take them a little bit slowly and they build from that and they learn. But then again, if you throw them out there too, it can be success as well.
Yeah, and I think too from a confidence standpoint, because Mac Jones, I think his confidence got destroyed by the end because he never really had the right resources to be able to be successful in New England. And I feel like that can be very demoralizing for a young quarterback. And so I think if they tried to throw him out there right away and they didn't really have the tools or the weapons at that point around him for him to be able to succeed in that offense, like that could destroy his confidence early on. And they definitely don't want that for the future. So I do think easing him into it, allowing Brissett, who, like you said, has been through it all, to show him the ropes about being an NFL quarterback, get themselves in a little bit better of a spot to be able to put him in there that allows him to be successful. I think that'll be a huge difference maker for his confidence moving forward.
Yeah, agreed. I think yes, and you said you don't want another Mac Jones where you lose confidence in, and then it's like Mac Jones he didn't feel like he didn't have the support, especially last season. Yes, he had his struggles, of course, but it's like you still need that support within the organization that you can have, especially with young players. They need that support from the team, and so it's like starting over. I know it's probably going to be a challenging year, I'm sure, for you as a Patriots fan,
Yes.
especially within this division. The division is still stacked and loaded, especially if I talk about the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy and he can really stay in one piece, and we can see what type of Aaron Rodgers we're going to get. The Jets will be a huge problem. I still think Buffalo's going to be good with Josh Allen, and Miami, they're going to be good. I mean, they just offensively, they're really good. But the Patriots this all depends. But any other with this team, any other players or position group you're looking forward to? Rhamondre Stevenson is coming. He's back and he's playing for a new contract, so he's going to want to play very well. And you got some young receivers, but any positions you looking forward to, or who do you think might struggle? What's your take on the team itself?
Yeah, the offensive line for sure is going to be a problem. We saw it during the preseason, and that's something they need to address. Is the O line, and it's kind of been an issue the last couple of years too. We really saw it come to light in the last couple seasons that there was no protection for the quarterback. So that's something they definitely are going to have to address. But I like a lot of what I've seen from them defensively. I think they're going to actually, be competitive on defense again, which was kind of to be expected because they've always been generally a defensive minded football team. So I think, the defense, I think, will still be competitive. I definitely liked what I saw there during the preseason. Definitely excited for the running game in general. I think they can definitely utilize that a lot. I think Rhamondre Stevenson is a little bit of an underrated player across the league.
Yes.
And I think he's going to get a ton of touches this year, and I think he's going to really help this Patriots team to score some points. But I'm definitely looking to the offensive line and the receiving core as areas that I think could struggle a little bit this season. But, it's one of those situations where it might be a really tough year. Like, I'm not anticipating many wins this year, but it's almost better for that to happen and them to have a clear understanding of their direction and where they're going, because I felt like the last few seasons there wasn't really a clear path to this rebuild and where they go from here. But I feel
Right.
like this season will give them a clear sense of, okay, this is what we need to do to, get this team back to where we want it to be.
Yeah, and like you said, it's only the Patriots had a great run. I mean, huge runs. Some things you don't see often in the NFL. I mean, you have the group of like when the back in the '70s when the Steelers were dominating for so many years, and then you had the 49ers, you had the Cowboys, from the '90s, and other teams were starting to win at a high clip, and then you have the Patriots, and now you have the Chiefs right now. So it's like a grouping of teams for so many years, and 100 years of the NFL have like just continued to at the time, and then they slow down a little bit, and so they rebuild and stuff like that. So the Patriots have had great success for so many years. I mean, Tom Brady played for 20 plus years. So it's like, and it was successful for so many years. So you had the luxury of having that dynasty of a team for so many years. And now it's just a rebuild. It's a reshuffle. Now Gerard Mayo, like I said, he comes from a defensive background. So, and he was mentored by Bill Belichick, but he's going to be different. And I could see them. It's going to take some couple of years, but they'll be right back. Especially if Drake May, if they pick the right quarterback and he's what the Patriots want him to be, can be, they'll be right back in the mix, because as you said, the Jets are going to in the future they're going to need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is not going to play for much longer. I mean, especially if he's breaking down, he's getting older now. I mean, another significant injury could be it for him as well. And yeah, Josh Allen's going to be a problem for the next 7, 8, 10 years, of course, but they're going to continue to keep building around him. And the Miami Dolphins, Tua just got paid, so yes, they'll be an issue too. But again, Drake May, if he's the quarterback that you guys want him to be, the Patriots will be right back in the mix. So you said they got to just address a few things to keep building around him, and the Patriots will be back as playoff contenders.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they're just in a crazy good division right now. And I do think it's going to be a battle between those other three teams this year. I mean, there's three potential playoff teams in this division right now. And I think, with the Dolphins, it's a matter of if Tua is able to stay healthy and stay on the field. I think that's going to be a big thing for him. And then, the Bills, like you said, I think they'll still be a problem. I mean, Josh Allen's just too talented not to put him in that conversation. And the Jets, if they're healthy this year, they are going to be very good, I think. I mean, I saw all the potential there last year. Their quarterback situation was just tough because they had all these injuries in their quarterback room. But I think, they'll be in the mix. I think it's going to be a battle between those three teams this year. Like, I could see it coming down to the wire, this division. Like, I can't sit here and pinpoint one of those teams and say that team is definitely winning the division, because I think I see potentials in all three.
Yeah, and each of those three teams in that division, they will be huge. They could all three could all make the playoffs, and I could see that too. And I just got a couple more before I let you go. I wanted to the AFC as a whole. Any other teams that you see as could be as either a surprise team, or the AFC is so loaded up top with Baltimore. You got Cincinnati. If Joe Burrow can stay healthy, Cincinnati's going to be right there in the mix. It's so interesting. They rely on the top quarterbacks to stay healthy. Houston, I mean, you talk about a team that has all the pieces and has the quarterback, has the receivers, has a good defense. They could be an issue. Who knows what Jacksonville, can they get back on track? With Trevor Lawrence now, can they still get back on track? And then, we talk about the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. But any teams that you're looking into that you think can actually contend and really give Kansas City a run to stop them from 3-peat and stop them at least to represent the AFC.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping somebody does, because I definitely don't want to see the Chiefs again.
Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, no, I definitely think there's a lot of teams. I definitely don't think it's just the Chiefs and then everybody else. I think, like you said, I really like the Bengals' chances. Obviously Burrow's health is always a question mark. But I think, there's so much talent on that team still that I would hate to see them waste that. They
Yeah.
definitely have a team that for sure could contend with KC. The Texans really intrigue me again. I think they have the opportunity to grow even more from what they did last year now that they're more experienced and they've
Yeah.
gotten a taste of what all of this is like. I think now that some of these players are a little bit more experienced, I could see them capitalizing further on what they did last year. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on them for sure this year. I think the Ravens they're going to be very good again. As long as they have Lamar Jackson, they're going to be in the mix for sure. I
Yeah.
think within that same division, I think every team in that division is going to be one to look out for this year. I think the Steelers are maybe not being talked about as much as they should going into this year. I think they're a team that definitely could be competitive and be better than people think based on kind of some of the moves that they made. And I think they're going to be a team to look out for this year too that I think for sure could make a playoff push. So there's definitely quite a few teams here that I could see. It's just a matter of, can these teams figure it out when it counts, like the Chiefs always do. Like even last year, like the Chiefs didn't start off their season great. Like they looked okay to start the season. Like they certainly didn't look like a Super Bowl team
Yeah.
early on, but then they figured it out when it mattered, like they always do. So we just need somebody to be able to get over that hump. But from a talent standpoint, I think there are a lot of teams that are right up there with the Chiefs.
Oh yes, I agree. I agree, and you're right. With the Chiefs from last year, the receiving core was just not great, to say the least, and it wasn't good at all outside of Travis Kelsey, really. But it was it's just Rashid Rice. He developed and it has become. Yeah, he was a rookie, so
Yeah.
he really improved throughout the year. But Patrick Mahomes, he didn't complain, and he knew he didn't have the best receiving core at all. But as you said, when you have him back there with Andy Reid and still Travis Kelsey, and they had a good defense, you said they figured it out. They just continue to keep plugging along, and next thing you know, they head into the playoffs and do what they do, and like I said, he's Patrick Mahomes come to the point now. It's just like Tom Brady. You just can't bet against him. If you give him an opportunity, and he's in the AFC Championship, even if it's on the road, he proved that they proved they can win on the road for the first. They did it, and but you get him at Arrowhead, it's like, how can you knock them off? Like it's hard to do. It's very, very hard to do. And then you get to a Super Bowl, it's like, yeah, okay, he can win it again. He's gonna win it again. He's gonna win it again. You got to really have everything aligned right to have a chance. Now the Bengals did it the 1 year, so and the Patriots did it. So it's not like it can't be done, but you have to have the right team, and you got to knock them out. You have to. And you said
Yep.
talent, from a talent perspective, there might be more talent teams throughout, but it comes, like I said, coaching and that quarterback, that combination. You got to find a way, and it's going to be tough. But there's some teams. I think Baltimore was a prime example last year when we thought they had the best chance and
Yeah.
probably should have won. But
I definitely kept picking them for sure last year.
right, they had the best chance. They had the MVP quarterback. They had the defense. Lamar Jackson finally got receivers, and they had a really good year. They had their best year, and they just couldn't get over the hump. Is for some reason they stopped running the football. They tightened up. Something went wrong, and the turnovers and drop passes, and the Chiefs just, that experience just kicked in, and that's what happened.
Yeah, no,
So
it's so crazy. Like I kept picking against them in the playoffs last year, and I think that was because of how much I really didn't want to see them in the Super Bowl again. But then they
right,
just
right.
kept winning, and I was like, okay, at this point, I give up. Like I just can't bet against them anymore because
No.
they're just gonna keep doing it.
They're gonna keep doing it. They're gonna keep doing it, and until someone can knock them off. I mean,
Yep.
look at Josh Allen. He went toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes in playoffs, and I mean, it wasn't his fault. It was just he got 13 seconds in the Chiefs score, and it's like, what else can we do? Like Josh Allen goes toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes every single time, and there's nothing he can do with that. So you can get in a shootout with them. You can try to slow them down, and they still find a way. And I could see them find a way again in this AFC. So we'll see. But I want to let's talk about your former coach, Bill Belichick. Not coaching this year. It's kind of surprised, but maybe it's good too in a way that he can step back but he's got so many gigs now. So we talk about Tom Brady, but now coach, the former coach Bill Belichick, which I think he will be coaching next year. Now he takes a year off. He's going to be, he signed with ESPN. He's going to be on the Pat McAfee show, and he's going to be on the Manning cast, and he's got a lot of different gigs. But when you think of Bill Belichick and what he's doing, he's doing pretty good at what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I definitely am a little bit surprised. I didn't really expect him to be somebody who would be in the broadcasting space because of his personality and the fact that he just portrayed like so few emotions, really. And I was like, how is this gonna go? Like he's not the most like enthusiastic guy. He doesn't show a lot of emotion, and you kind of need to if you're broadcasting. So I was like, this is gonna be really interesting. I didn't really expect that. But I was definitely surprised that he didn't get a coaching gig this season. I thought there would be somebody who would want his skill set and what he brings to the table. But he's definitely better off coaching a team that isn't in rebuild mode, that's already like could be a contender because they have the talent. They just need the right coach in place to get them over the hump. That's why I thought a team like the Chargers would have maybe been a good fit for him. Because there's certainly a lot of talent there, but they, for some reason, just cannot figure it out and get over that hump in the postseason. I think he needs to coach a team like that where he doesn't need to go through a rebuild at this point because, I mean, he's older. He doesn't want to deal with that anymore. I think he just wants to, if he comes back to coaching, just win and, continue to chase that record for most wins. And so I think he needs to coach a team that is already equipped to allow him to do that. It's a team that hasn't had the right coach in the mix. So I think if he comes back to coaching, that's the type of team he would want to coach. But I mean, it's different. It's interesting. We're seeing a different side of Belichick now than we've really seen for a long time when he was the coach. And I was like, yeah, probably because it's a different environment, and it's not the same, but it's definitely been weird because I'm like, this isn't the Belichick that I knew for 20 plus years.
No, right. Exactly. I mean, he did not like talking to the media, the personality. He was just all business. And he just, we're off to Cleveland. We're off to Cleveland. Like, it was like those type of things like he did. And I just found it was interesting that they're like, oh, he's going to be on a Pat McAfee show. I'm like, okay, I can see Pat McAfee trying to get the best out of him. McAfee that's just the way how he is and who he is. Like he did, but to have Belichick to be on there full time, and Belichick's going to give him is one of the greatest coaches of all time. He's going to give you so much intel, so much knowledge, and so much. So, and you could tell he probably loves doing this stuff. They think it was quite a few years ago. I think it was him and Nick Saban, another one that he's doing some for College Game Day, retired coach, greatest college coach of all, football coach of all time. He's doing now, broadcast work and things like that. So these successful coaches are like transferring into like they're so good, so knowledgeable. I definitely want to hear what Belichick, a different side of him, and what he thinks of different plays. And now he's going to be on the Manning cast, like with Peyton and Eli. And you know how Peyton, and especially Peyton, loves to break down things. Him and Belichick breaking down, that's going to be like a nerds, us that love football, the inside information type of thing. And that's going to be something I'm really going to soak in. I know you will too, and how much you love Bill Belichick.
Yeah, right. And just how much of a deep knowledge he has for the game. Like just how smart of a football mind he really is. Yes. I just think it's gonna be like for diehard football fans, like they're gonna love this because it's gonna continue to expand their thoughts on the game of like, oh, I didn't think about it that way.
Yes.
And I think him being there to provide some of that further insight, I think could help other people also start to develop an appreciation for him and what worked for him for so long and kind of what made him as successful as he was as a coach. So I think him having the opportunity to do this will almost make people feel like they can connect with him a little bit more than they did when he was a coach. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, and all this is gonna do is just raise up his stock as coaching too. Like, I mean, he doesn't
Yep.
need it. It's just more of now they're gonna think, oh man, because there's gonna be some team next year that's not gonna do well, and they're gonna have him on as he'll just bring him as coach, and just to like he said he's gonna be on a mini cast, Pat McAfee show. He's going to be a panelist on Inside the NFL. He's also going to host a weekly YouTube show for Underdog Fantasy. And he just landed another gig, the Sirius XM Radio. And he's going to be with Jim Gray, where Tom Brady was doing weekly shows with Jim Gray on Sirius XM. So more Tom Brady or more Bill Belichick. So Tom Brady, Bill Belichick are going to just be. So you're not even going to miss anything being a Patriots fan. You're not going to miss anything with your former former quarterback and coach, because they're going to still be, like I said, they're still going to be involved in football. And I mean, Belichick's just. I love seeing it. I do. I really gonna enjoy just that the what he's gonna bring to it. So I'm looking forward to it. But Gabby, it's always great catching up with you during this, just in general, but during this time, especially with the NFL coming up, college football. Officially, college football starts today. I know they had week 0 last week, but everybody, like all the teams are playing today. So I know we're excited, just football in general. But again, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. And I wish you much success and many blessings. And like I said, the best of everything with with your marriage coming up, wedding coming up, I should say, and everything. So I know you're going to be very busy these next couple of months, as you haven't been. But you've been going to be very, very busy. But I definitely got to try to get you on before NBA season. I'll try to squeeze it in before you get married. So maybe next month, because I know you got to have all the things you got prioritized first. But we got to talk some NBA maybe next month. I'll try to get you in maybe about a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I'll get you on before the NBA season starts. But let everyone know.
Yeah, let me know. We have to talk about the defending champs.
Oh, you got to talk about your defending champs, Boston Celtics, of course, who are the favorites going into this season coming up too. But let everyone know where they can follow you, find you, what you got coming up within these next few months when the season starts.
Yeah, for sure. So you can follow me on all social media platforms. I am on Instagram at Gabby_Hurlbut10, on Twitter at GabbyHurlbut10. If you're okay with just constant posts about freaking out about my favorite teams in some capacity, that is the place for you, because it can be quite entertaining, I think, sometimes when I'm watching a live game. But my shows are also on social media. My Facebook is Gabby Elizabeth. I do live streams of Boston Balling on there. So you can tune in live when I'm recording those shows. Boston Balling does have a Twitter at Boston Balling and a Facebook page as well. And you can follow Locked On Red Sox also on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. And you can follow both of these shows wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Spotify or Google Play or Apple or even YouTube, you name it, whatever your preferred platform is, you can find my shows on those platforms. Lots of cool guests I have coming up as we approach the end of the regular season for baseball. Going to be bringing on some cool people involved with the Red Sox organization to maybe preview some off-season stuff / possibly playoffs if they can get it together and make the playoffs maybe.
Yes.
And Boston Balling with football season coming up. Lots of cool guests in the football world that I'm going to be sitting down with. So definitely check out those shows on all those platforms.
Absolutely. So check out Gabby, all the content there. She says she's going to be streaming, broadcasting as well. So just follow her on all podcasts and social media platforms. So again, thanks, Gabby. Can't thank you enough for doing this, and really appreciate you. And enjoy the rest of the summer, what we have left of it as well. And I'll be hitting you up within the next month to talk some NBA and the defending champs, the Boston Celtics as well. So thanks again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Always a pleasure doing this with you.
All right. Thank you. I really appreciate it. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, have a good one. All right, that was Gabby Hurlbut, first guest of this 3-hour NFL preview show. But I'm not gonna let my guest wait. My next guest, anytime. She's been waiting in the wings for a few minutes, so I have to bring her on as well. One of my favorite guests I've had over the last couple of years as well. I gotta definitely get her. I can't keep her waiting too much longer, but I want to get her bio right as well because she does a lot of great content. And so let me just bring her on. I have Erin Mulligan back on the show. Sports podcast. She blogs, she writes, she's a host, has her own YouTube channel, the dissection of with Erin Mulligan as well. I could have did this without reading it, but I want to make sure I get it right. So, but Erin, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for asking me to come on.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to get you on this mega NFL preview show that I decided to do. I wanted to do a big show to get everyone prepared for it. And you're a big football fan, and not just of the New York Giants. I mean, division rivals of mine, but as an Eagle fan, but we get along so well, and but we talk media, we do a lot of different things. You've been on the show many times too, and so it was only right for me to bring you on. So I wanted to bring you on, talk a little NFL and anything else in media and things like that too. So again, thank you for your time.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you. I know we're a rarity because Giants.
Yes. Giants, Eagles, division rivals and things like that. But we can get along. We can be very objective and things like that. But we definitely get along. So I really appreciate you jumping on The Real Deal again. And but I wanted to talk before we talk some NFL and Giants and NFC East and all those things. I know how big of an Olympic fan you are and how big, if we haven't had a chance to talk, I wanted to get you on when the Olympics were going on, but then there was a lot of things. The Olympics were so busy and things like that too. But I know you enjoyed it. How much did you enjoy this year's Olympics? And I know another thing we had in common, we both love Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, who broke another record, her own record again in the 400-meter hurdles, and she also won gold in the 4x4 as well. So, but talk about how much you enjoyed the Olympics, and then also Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone winning 2 more gold medals.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I miss it. Like sometimes afterwards, I think people sort of tend to develop Olympic fatigue at some point because there's so much content to consume, and they even start prior to the actual opening ceremony too because there's so much to get in. Yes. But afterwards, when I see little like pictures or whatever, I'm like, oh, I miss it. But oh my gosh, to watch, I feel like we all watched Simone's last go, and it was so great, and it was at times a little drama filled, and it was exciting. I couldn't believe their last time on the beam, her and Suni both fell, and they still just, I don't know, it was outstanding to watch, and to watch her bounce back from 2020 was thrilling, and I'm so happy for her that I went into it and I was like, okay, she might not get a gold because she is a little older and whatever, but I think everyone was just excited to see her out there again, and then and got multiple medals.
Yes.
And but that was so exciting. Katie Ledecky, I was so excited for her because people were really I found people to be really mean to her about her age as well. So I think her and Simone were in a really similar boat there, where people were having lower expectations of the two of them because of their age. They thought they both didn't belong there competing, and then Katie went and got a gold, and the whole swim team, it was so exciting. I think I wanted them to win a little bit more against the Australians because that was a big story too. Drama with Michael Phelps, but it was really, really exciting. And then the track team was it was so exciting to watch Noah Lyles. You know, I think everyone was excited for him because he's so confident, and he was going in and he was like, he said something. He wanted to see how many medals he could fit through the airport, and that's how many he wanted. So, you know, that, and then he got COVID, and then we watched him still get bronze with COVID. And that whole team, and Sydney, obviously. I woke up at, I think, 5:45 one morning. It was like the last morning to just watch her live because, you know, France is so, the time zones and everything.
Time zones, yep.
Yeah, so we didn't always see things. Like, I was at work and I was getting notifications. I was like, I want to watch it live, but we can't really do that unless it's in the US. But Sydney, I think, is just so inspiring. She has all the confidence in the world because she doesn't really identify within track and within her sport, which is really nice to see. But to see her just like she looks like she's jogging all the time, and it's so fun to watch.
Oh my goodness, she's so dominant and so good. I mean, the thing, like the 400-meter hurdle, she has mastered it so much because of, you know, the preparation, hard work, and everything. But the talent of who she is and what she exudes. Like, she's, to me, the face of track and field. I know there's multiple, you know, Noah Lyles. I mean, there's so many names that we can name, but Sydney McLaughlin-Aroney is just. I just love watching just the greatness of what she is on and off the track, and what she exudes such that quiet confidence too, and she just goes in there and just does her thing and dominates. And to beat the world records, and at the first one, when me and my wife were watching, we, like I said, we watched so much Olympics, and that's my wife's favorite, the Olympics. And we were watching it, like, I mean, we were watching so many sports, so much content during work, and because we were talking on our phones and things like that. So we were just watching, just getting so much of it. We're watching live, we're watching the playback, primetime playback. We're watching that and things like that. But watching Sydney, just the way she just continues to keep elevating herself. It's on now. She's thinking now, saying the 50 flat or under 50 in the 400-meter hurdles is unheard of. But if anyone can do it, it would be her, because she could keep just taking time off of her own record, of her own world record. You know, so whether it's 0.2 something, or it's whatever it is, it's like, I think it's her 8th time she beat her own world record.
Mm-hmm.
That's unheard of. It's ridiculous. So I can't say enough about Sydney McLaughlin-Aroney.
She's great. I'm reading her book right now, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, I got
a long way mentally too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. She's. I mean, she started 17 years old at the Olympics, and now to see her as a multiple Olympic champion and world record holder, and also she can run the 400 and do well. We've seen her run the 200, and I know she was using that as just developing her speed and just working on her speed and working on her technique. And then she can go in there and still run, you know, run really good records on that as well, times on that too. It's just amazing what Sydney McLaughlin has done and everything too. And you talked about the other greatness of, I know we're gonna get into football, but I had when I get you, I had to talk a little Olympics with you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, we talked about Simone Biles and Katie Ledecky, and they had that picture on Twitter together with those two, just greatness at its finest, and what they've done. They said there's 80 medals, world record, world and Olympic medals combined with those two, just the two of them. That beats countries of 80 medals together. Those two. That's how much dominant they've been.
Yeah, it's really, and at their age too.
At their age too, right? Old. Yeah, they're old. Yeah, old in their 20s. They're old. Yeah, right. So it's like, and it's still, as you said, still dominate at this point in their careers. And I know Simone hasn't ruled out LA in 4 years, and I wouldn't rule that out for her either. I don't know if this was her last. Maybe they want to represent. I think LA is because it's in the United States in 4 years. I think they want to really say, okay, Kate Ledecky never said anything about retirement, so she's definitely going to swim in LA. So it's I can see both of them actually going in there and winning more medals in LA too.
I could too. And she was talking to Mike Tirico one day, and she's on some kind, I don't know if she's on not the Olympic committee, but on some board. And he said, I saw your name on there. Does that mean that you're going to take that type of position and not compete? And she was like, no, I wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't say that quite yet.
Yeah, I don't think they're either of them are ruling it out yet. They're just going to train and then, decide.
Yeah. The Olympics was so good. This Paris Olympics was so good, and there was so much great performances, and not just in the United States, just in the competition in itself was so great. It was amazing, and like I said, was there Olympic fatigue? Yeah, it took. I was starting to. I was like, okay, I'm getting a little bit. It's like a little fatigued with it, but then I'm thinking, man, I'm watching the Paralympics too. I'm watching that too. So
yes.
I'm watching a lot of that on Peacock and USA. And it was Gold Zone was so good. It was like Red Zone of the Olympics. And they're bringing that back, and they're bringing that back for Paralympics. They're doing that. They're bringing that for the winter. They're bringing that for LA. So yeah, it was just the Olympics. I do miss it though.
I miss it. And I forgot Cole Hawker and
Cole Hawker.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
different
good.
Sports, but like it was fascinating. Cole Hawker, I saw that one live, I think. Yeah. Or I hadn't been looking all day, and then my whole family watched it, and we were like screaming at the TV, even though it actually in reality already happened.
Yeah, already happened. Right, the 1500. Yeah, to see him and Naguse too just do what they did. He got the bronze, and they weren't. Cole Hawker wasn't even a favorite heading into that final.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and he came out of like we knew from like he's just building but he wasn't even favorite to even podium. But it just shows that anything can happen in the Olympics, and he took it. He came came from behind and just he even said himself, during the trials, he had said that he was if he can get he don't think nobody could contend with his speed in the end, his closing speed, and he proved it again that he can come out of behind and win, and he did.
Yeah.
So I love it. I really do. So all right, let's transition. We can talk Olympics. We got to talk. We can talk that for our whole show. Let's get into the NFL. And as I said, if people that don't know, Aaron is a big New York Giants fan, and so we got I want to talk a little Giants with you and their expectations in at least I would say the toughest division, but Eagles, Cowboys are the two favorites probably, heading into this season. But what's your expectation with the Giants, and what are you feeling? And did you go to training camp this year?
I didn't go to training camp this year. I watched a lot of content from
it. Content, right. It was a Hard Knocks. Yeah.
Yes. But I did get to go to Tommy DeVito's youth football camp. So
okay, that's what it was. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what was your what's your expectations? It's not very high for the Giants this upcoming season, but you never know. It's a new NFL season, but what's your take on the Giants heading into the season?
I don't have many expectations.
Okay.
Because I just want to see what happens every other year. I mean, as every fan base does, they're like, "Oh, this is our year." That's what everybody says. Yeah. It's so cliche at this point, but my trust is not there yet. It's okay. Not. And I don't think it's there for a lot of fans. I don't know, everything surrounding Daniel. I want to see him do well. It's not that I don't. It just doesn't. There's nothing comforting. There's not. The only probably thing is that's comforting is Neighbors, Malik Neighbors, because he had an outstanding training camp, and he seems to just catch anything, no matter what. If it's overthrown, if it's not, underthrown, whatever. But yeah, I mean, again, in the preseason, it's a lot of second string guys, but from the O-line, there's just no trust. And how can you be confident in Daniel if you're not going to give him an O-line? It's just whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I like Dable. a lot. I think he's a good coach. I definitely did not like what I saw when they made the Saquon decision.
Yeah.
I found it to be really distasteful. I just don't understand. Why wouldn't you do so much as you possibly can, to keep this ultra weapon for your quarterback who's coming back from a severe injury? Yeah. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do more to build your O-line? It makes no sense. But whatever. I mean, I'm very, very
very even keel yes. with the just say I'm trying to stay balanced with how I get it, because from that perspective, just as a general, just looking at the NFL as a whole, you said Giants expectations are low heading into this year, because you said you lose your number one playmaker, Saquon Barkley, to my beloved Philadelphia Eagles. I thank you on that, but no, not to brag, but no, for real. But you lose your number one, like you said, you lose your number one option, and there was always that. There was always that possibility, especially from 2 seasons ago, that it could be. And then hearing Diana Rossini's interview with Saquon, we heard his side. The Giants had their side because they were on a hard knock, and it played the way it played out. It just, I don't know. It just there was probably fault on both sides, because so Saquon seemed like he said the right thing. He wanted to be a Giant for life. Yeah. He said, and maybe he did, and deep down he did. But at the end of the day, it's still a business. Still, he wanted to get paid, and the Giants they didn't want to pay him because they thought, like, okay, there's some mileage there. There's some the injury factor. Saquon doesn't stay healthy or can't stay healthy in some way. But when he's on the field, he's a difference maker. And 2 years ago, when the Giants did make their playoff run, Saquon was healthy for the most of the year, and Daniel Jones had his best year too. But then the quarterback gets hurt last year. Saquon misses some games last year. The offensive line was in shambles, and so there was, like you said, there was a lot to address with so when you lose him, it's like, okay, what direction are the Giants going? I know Daniel Jones gets a lot of heat, a lot of criticism, not a great record. What's your take on Daniel Jones? I know you're a fan, but what's your take on him? It's like, can this be it? They paid him a lot of money. Can this be the last season he has to succeed? If not, the Giants get rid of him. I know there were fans that wanted a quarterback during the draft, and but what's your take on Daniel Jones as a whole? Like, is this his last chance as a Giant?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I thought that last year. I mean, I thought that last year. I was like, he needs to show. But I also saw, and I didn't do a ton of research into it, but there is an out of his contract after this season.
Yes.
So he needs to really prove himself. And I said this last year. I said this is his season, that he needs to prove himself. And I said last year that Saquon had to prove himself to stay healthy and everything, and he did. And then that went down the drain. But with Daniel, I mean, he got hurt. Okay, we can't blame him for that. But this year, this is it. This is it, because it's year 6. I didn't understand the whole mentality surrounding, okay, well, we have to give him another shot. For 6 years, you've done nothing. O-line, how can you give him a shot? Yeah. He's never had a fair shot at all. So how can you expect anything? The fact that fans are, I mean, some are joking about it, and I don't think some are, but we're latching on to the fact that he's grown a beard. And they think that that's going to change the way he plays.
New perspective, I guess, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But we've gotten to that where we have to latch on to his facial, hair to see if he's going to do well. I don't know. I think he's a good athlete. He runs the ball. He's comfortable outside the pocket most of the time, which is nice, because that was a nice change from Eli, who didn't run a lot. So, when Daniel came here, we were like, oh, okay, this is good. This is great. This is exciting. I don't know. I mean, you look at his stats, and I'm not a big person to stats because I don't think stats say everything about a player.
Right, doesn't tell the whole story. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, right. But you look at the past few years, and it's like he ranges in, I don't know, over 2,000 yards. And then you look at someone like Patrick Mahomes, who has well over 4,000. Why can't we have that? Like, why are we not deserving of that? We don't have the same depth as the Chiefs by any means, but we have potential. We saw in 2022 the potential that we have. So why couldn't we have built on that? I think they should have. The Giants should have built the team around Saquon, which they said they were doing, and that would have helped Daniel. That would have set Daniel up for success, because Daniel needs help. He cannot just do it on his own. You look at Patrick Mahomes, he gets out of these dire situations. He thinks quickly. The way he throws a ball is unlike any other quarterback in the league. So we know that Daniel can't necessarily do that, but we know what Daniel's capable of because we've seen little tiny glimpses of it. So this is his last chance. This is it. And I feel bad because he is a nice person and he's never been given help from his team.
Yeah.
That is concerning. And I think as a player, I'd be like, why aren't you trying to? I mean, I think with Neighbors, that's a great weapon. I think John Michael Schmitz could have a really great year because he's his very first line of defense for Daniel. So we'll see, but this is it. Because if they give him another chance next year and this season doesn't go well, Giants fans are literally going to show up at the front doors of Quest Diagnostic Training Center and signs and like, we're going to leave you if you don't improve this, because it's really bad. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, it is. It's become that. And, Daniel Jones has his flaws. He holds onto the ball a little too long sometimes, and he kind of sometimes locks on to one receiver.
That's it.
Yes, the offensive line. Yes, the offensive line was a huge problem. Like, it allowed 85 sacks last year, so it was the second most in league history.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, so I don't care who's back there. If you can't protect, and he has mobility. I mean, that's one of his best attributes.
Absolutely,
he has mobility. He can run, and I know the coaching staff probably wants him to run less, but you can't take that away from him. I mean, yes, the injuries he missed 11 games I think last year, knee and neck injuries, so that could be considered. But him holding on to the ball too long, if those mistakes keep coming up, throwing interceptions or fumbles is another issue. And holding too long and taking all those sacks, that he might not last all season either. So that's something. I guess they're going to have to go to a quick strike offense where they have to get rid of the ball quicker. But you have, like you said, you have Malik Neighbors, who looks like Odell Beckham Jr., plays like Odell Beckham Jr.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah, they're right. He has the same body type and the speed, and I mean, just looking at the training camp, he was catching everything. And that's so hopefully he can have a quarterback and give him the ball and can do, all those things. And I mean, that they're trying to build and get weapons around Daniel Jones. Just like you said, it would have been a little bit better if they would have Saquon with that too. But it's neither here nor there now. But it's more, okay, now you got Devin Singletary, new starter. Let's see what Singletary is serviceable. It was a serviceable running back. So, but it's all about the offensive line and Daniel Jones when it comes to the offense.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I do actually have a lot of confidence in some of the second string guys, which is comforting as well, which I didn't mention before. But with Daniel, awareness is an issue. He doesn't always seem aware of these guys. I mean, if you're playing someone like the Lions, which they did in training camp when they had a joint practice, that was really interesting because the Lions were outstanding last year, and see how the entirety of the Giants team played against them. It was exciting. It was hopeful because they did really, really well in practice. And when you have someone like Aiden Hutchinson charging at you, you need to be aware of that. And a guy like, I'm going to botch his name again. I always struggle with it. Illuminor. I think I got it. Lineman. First of all, he's ecstatic to be here with the Giants. And I think that's a great factor, because what happens off the field, how you feel off the field, has a lot to do with what goes on the field. So he's so happy to be here, and he did an excellent job at blocking Hutchinson. He barely touched, whether it was DeVito, whether it was Jones, whether it was Drew Lock back there, and that was really nice to see. But when you have a guy like Hutchinson coming at you, you need to be aware of that. You need to know that that's a possibility, because the way him and guys like Bosa and whoever else are just, they weave them. They're huge guys who act like they're smaller and leaner than they actually are. That's the level of their athleticism. They just weave themselves around these linemen and they get to the quarterback. So Daniel doesn't always have that great level of awareness, and that's a problem. But I think with a great O-line, again, problems would be solved.
Yeah.
But with the second string guys, like, we have Singletary, and I think he could be great for the team. But we also have Eric Gray, who's having a great preseason. We have Tommy DeVito to go in for Jones, which I'm very, very comfortable with after the season that he had last year, after seeing him in preseason. Because actually, I think Tommy has a better sense of awareness than Daniel. He never looks flustered. He never looks confused on the field, where Daniel sometimes struggles with that. But the two of them have a great understanding of the whole playbook, of the chemistry on the team seems really good. So that helps too. So those are all hopeful things. But yeah, with Daniel, it's just a struggle of awareness sometimes and holding onto the ball too long, like you said.
Yeah, and I think and like you said, this is just it's a big year for him, to say the least. And you said they could release him next year. So hopefully he can at least improve. And it's going to be tough, and especially in that division, because you just don't know what Washington is going to be like. As we said, we assume the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to be the top two, but Washington has a new quarterback, so and the new coaching and all that. So they're also rebuilding as well. So it's interesting to see what the bottom half of the division is going to look like. So, but I just want to get to a couple more. I wanted to ask you about. I know we did some media. I think our last podcast we did a lot of media things and everything too. But Tom Brady that's one of the biggest stories, and he will be broadcasting his first game next Sunday coming up, Browns Cowboys, and it's going to be a lot of viewership on that. But what's your take on just transitioning on Tom Brady, and what do you think? How do you think he will do? And he's going to be getting about $37.5 million, $37 million a year, and let's see. Do you think he will be successful?
Yeah, like he needs that.
Yeah, right.
I think he's going to be good. I think he has the potential to be really, really great at broadcasting. I think he excels at everything he does in life, whether it's business or football. But I think we need more people in the booth with the level of intelligence that he has.
Good point.
Not only on the game, but also just on the human body and nutrition and the way, you can train and all of that, because all of it has to do with what happens out on the field. So, I think guys like him and Aaron Rodgers just see the game in a whole different way, because their brain is just has so much depth of football. There's so much more that you don't really see just to the average eye. And I think he could be really good. If you watch him in interviews, just any interview that you ever watch him in, whether it's a podcast or on TV, he has a really solid voice that will be nice to listen to. And he doesn't stumble over his words ever. He's very well spoken, very eloquent. So I think he's going to be really, really good. And he tends to get along with pretty much everyone if it's not on the field. So I think, whoever he's in the booth with will be great. And I think he gets along really well with all those Fox broadcasters. And he's had enough time to, build chemistry with them and everything. So I think it's going to be really nice to see.
Yeah. And I agree. I think As you said, you definitely need. He's very intelligent, and just the football mind that he has, just from the quarterback position, played at the highest level,
Mhm.
arguably the greatest quarterback ever. Even though, like I said, our teams have beaten his New England
Yeah.
Patriots in Super Bowls, but beyond that, it's just more of his football mind and his everything that he's going to bring to the booth. I think it will translate. And he's going to say he's coming. He just retired 2 years ago. He
Mhm.
took a year off to kind of, like I said, hone his skills. And I think that was a very smart move. He didn't just jump right into it. He
Right.
wants to take this seriously. Now, how long he's going to do it, I don't know. That's another question. He could do it for 2 years. Broadcast the Super Bowl, but he seemed like he wants to take it serious. He wants to have a long career with this,
Mhm.
and kind of like his playing career. So I am looking. I am interested to see how he does. Now he's going to get criticism because he's Tom Brady.
Of
He's
course.
he's got that all through his career. But I think fans and media should like give it a chance. Don't give him criticism right from the beginning. Like
Right.
right the first game is like, yeah, it's going to be some nerves. Going to be some. And he could hit it out of the park. We just don't know. Like Tony Romo, he did it, and he built a brand for himself.
Yeah.
Now Tony Romo gets flack now because I think just people are just maybe just tired of the excitement that he just shows. But I think he's still good. Tony Romo is still really good. And he brought something different. He predicted plays, how they were going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Tom Brady's going to just he'll have to he'll have to get his his style, and he's got a great team around him: Kevin Burkhardt and Aaron Andrews, Tom Bernardi, the Fox Sports network in itself. So I think he'll have success with it. I think he'll be really good with what he has to do. So I'm looking forward to see what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick not coaching. And I was talking to my last guest, Gabby Hurlbutt, who's a huge Patriots fan, and she was talking about how she feels like this will just help even more with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. They're good football minds. So
Yeah.
I would just love to hear how they're going to break down this season.
Yeah, I never actually expected Belichick to go into
Me
broadcast.
either. No, not at all. Not the personality that he presents.
He's a very monotone guy,
Yeah.
but what comes out of his mouth is fascinating, and
Yeah.
it makes you think, and it makes your jaw drop at times because it's like, oh, I never thought of that, or I could have never even envisioned that type of play or known what that player was thinking. He just knows everything. His mind is like a football encyclopedia. It really is, and
Yeah.
I think it's good that he's on TV. Maybe he needs to improve on his enthusiasm or his, just
Right.
on-air personality, but
Yes.
presence. I mean, but I think it's actually a really big gift for everyone to have the two of them on TV, because it also gives us more access to what they're thinking, and then makes everyone else think more and more insight, honestly,
Mm.
because we wouldn't really normally get that, and I think it's positive.
Yeah, I do too. I agree. 100% agree. Aaron, it's been always a pleasure having you on the show. Me and you, we could do hours and hours of shows and everything, but I'm not going to keep you much longer. I know you probably got an eventful Saturday that you got coming up with, college football here, and
Yes.
yes, and everything too. So, but let everyone know what you got coming up for this upcoming season. As you said, you write, you podcast, you have your YouTube channel, you're on TikTok. I've seen your TikTok videos. I follow you there and everything too. But what you got the rest of the year and this upcoming season?
So I am working for the Jets again on game days.
Okay.
Yeah, so doing more of
Yeah.
last year I did the 50-50, and that was fun. So now I'm a little up higher and doing the t-shirt tosses and helping.
Okay. All right. Oh, congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm doing all that, and so I was on the Jumbotron 2 games ago, quite a lot, much more than I expected, and I don't know how I
Right.
feel about it, but that was fun. So I'm doing that, and I think I'm gonna get a little bit into be helping out with a New Jersey company doing photography and videography for high school sports. And yeah, I'm just trying to still work at doing the dissection. I've been trying to navigate doing it while working full time, so it's been like a learning curve. But
that was tough, I'm sure.
yeah, but yeah, I'm just gonna keep putting that content out and just still trying to build my resume in sports in every way that I can. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Erin Mulligan 23. That's on Twitter as well, and then on Instagram for the dissection, it's the dissection official, and then Twitter is dissection the, and yeah, that's where you can find me. And then you can just Google me, search me up on YouTube, and then TikTok is just my name again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course, the dissection with Erin Mulligan. Check it out, and all the content that you put out. I've always enjoyed your content. Always enjoyed our conversations and everything too. And you said it. I know you just keep again continuing to put out the content and continuing to put out great material as well. You said working, full time working and trying to run a website and a YouTube channel it's tough. I understand that, working full time and the podcast as well. Always just trying to find time to do it. So, but I'm looking forward to everything you got going on. We'll have to do this again, of course, and discuss mid season in the NFL, see how we do and see how it goes. So again, I thank you again. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. I forgot to say, I'm producing 2 new podcasts. I don't know, like if I'm allowed to say the title of them, but just keep an eye out for that too.
Yes.
I forgot to say, what I also think is a huge deal is how is Daniel Jones's personality. Just he's very calm in this dealing with this New York media.
Yes.
That's a big deal. So that's why he can also succeed.
Yes.
I really like him, and I want him to do well.
Yes. Let's hope they have hopefully for you as a fan that they have at least a decent year as well. So, but I'm looking forward to all what you got going on, and I really appreciate you jumping on this 3-hour NFL show that I'm doing today. So, but I'm glad to have you part of it. So, thank you again.
Thanks so much, Courtney. No, it was a lot of fun.
All right, thank you. All right, you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, that was Erin Mulligan. Follow her sports podcast, YouTube channel. She's a writer, Dissection with Erin Mulligan. Really appreciated her perspective on a lot of different things. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break. I got 2 more guests coming up, and so be on the lookout. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more of The Real Deal.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
All right, we are back with the second hour of this big extravaganza of a NFL preview show. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. So I am not going to keep my guest waiting any time sooner because I really, really enjoy having her on the show, even though we are rival NFC East fans, but we can get along, and we have gotten along, and she's been on the show many, many times and everything too. But I really enjoy her and enjoy what she does and everything too, even though she's a big Cowboys fan. That's the only knock I have on her. But I can't welcome back Crystal Stone, sports reporter, anchor, actor. She's done so much, ESPN host, all the things. So Crystal, welcome back to the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Courtney. So much shade in that. How I feel about that. Take it on the chin. It's been a long time. I'm happy to be back on and joining you today.
Yes, you know how to throw a little shade as a Cowboy fan, but you are good people. So you are one of my. I've always said to you, I've always enjoyed. I watched your growth and in this business of sports and media and journalism from afar, and we connected long time ago, and we just become really good, I would say colleagues and friends and things like that, just in broadcasting and everything. So I've always enjoyed watching, just like I said, and watching you just do what you do every time, like the content you put out and things you got going on and continue to do. I mean, just great success. So I've always cheering for you and wish you the best. So
thank you. The admiration is also mutual. I have loved seeing your growth too. I really appreciate your growth in covering the women's game and women's sports and women broadcasters. So I appreciate the efforts that you're doing too.
Thank you. I appreciate that too. Yes. So, all right, I guess we got all of our nice things out. We're going to end up battling with each other. But yeah, when I put this together, I've been trying to put it together for the last couple of weeks, and I want to do a longer show. I haven't done one in a long time, 2-3 hour NFL seasons here, and I said you were one of the first. I said I got to get Crystal back on the show. Like I said, it's been a while because you said you're reporting and anchoring, so you're busy, very busy. I see it all, and so I'm glad that we have a little bit of time to really catch up and things like that. But how have you been? Besides being busy, but how have you been so far over the last? I think the last show we did together, I don't know, it's been maybe a year, maybe a little less than a year. But how has everything been going for you?
Yeah, I think the show we did probably was sometime in 2023, early before I started this new job. So I finished. I got my graduate degree, master's degree in sports journalism from Arizona State University last summer, finished that last summer. And straight from there, I came to Albany, New York, and I work as a sports reporter and anchor at the NBC affiliate here, WNYT, News Channel 13. I'll be anchoring today. So if you want to know what's going on in the Capital Region sports, I've got you covered. And I mean, busy is like the word. Year next week that I've been here, and it is a grind because I'm working as a multimedia journalist. So I do everything, right? So I shoot the games, I write everything, I edit the footage, and then I go on and anchor. And obviously do interviews and post-game stuff, press conferences, all those things. So it's a lot of hard work. It's very rewarding. And being able to cover so many different sports here in the Capital Region has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, Albany, New York. I'm originally from upstate New York, so I know my best friend lives in upstate in Albany, right outside of in Latham. So he lives right outside of Albany. So we was just up there, I think January, February, somewhere around there. And I know for you, getting used, well, you lived in New York City, so that cold is a little different than anywhere else. So it's a little different when the winter hits. But summers are good, but it's just that winter, yeah, that's a little bit of a difference, but
yeah, I'm trying to prepare myself for football season, which
yes.
for us starts, well, college football season starts tomorrow. High school starts next week. And I'm trying to prepare myself mentally like, okay, September's going to be all right. October's going to be okay. Once we get into November, I'm going to need my heated gloves, my heated socks. They pushed through the last month of football season.
Yes, I know that. I mean, I've lived there for 33, 34 years. I've been here, Philly, for 11. So, but me and my wife go up there. We go up there because our family's up there. We go every year, at least a couple times a year. We go up there during Christmas, and yes, it gets pretty cold. And I mean, I'm used to it because I'm not used to it. I'm used to it, but not used to it because I still don't like the cold. but for sure, yeah, have your gloves and all those things, the winter coats, all that. So it's a little that cold bite's a little different than anywhere else. But yes, but congratulations on you said the new job. I think when I did ask you before to come on the show, you had got the new position. And you said, let me start, let me get my foot in and start. So I said, yeah, definitely, of course.
Yeah, I think you hit me up on my first week on the job. And I was like,
the first week. Yes. And you're like, whoa, hold on. Like I just got, because I think you had just was going to announce it. You just announced it. And I said, we could definitely let you get your footing for the year or whatever. And you do it, like I said, excellent work of what I've been seeing and everything too. So, but all right, let's transition into this NFC East, and we'll start with the Cowboys, your beloved Cowboys, and what a off season you guys have had, to say the least, right? And contract negotiations, and at least CeeDee Lamb just got paid. We'll start there. We'll start with CeeDee, and I didn't have any doubt that he wasn't going to get his money, but as a Cowboy fan, someone that's true and true fan, what was your take on how that was handled? And then he finally got paid right before the season start. But overall, what did you think of with the CeeDee Lamb and how that went down?
I'm pretty sure you saw my post when he got signed.
Yes, I did.
The holy dance, hallelujah. I was like,
yeah.
That's genuinely how I felt. And since the beginning of this offseason, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, they've made it all clear that they were going all in. And they had to sort of redefine that after they were the only team in the NFL to not make any moves on the first day of free agency. And so they shifted it and said, no, all in means we're going to get Dak, CeeDee, and Micah signed. But this whole offseason and training camp season has kind of gone by, and none of these contracts have gotten done. So for CeeDee Lamb to finally get done, albeit a week before the season begins, is so exciting. There was no way I would have been happy with the Cowboys if they had let him walk, right? He is the central focus of this offense outside of Dak Prescott. The Cowboys absolutely needed to solidify him at that position. He led the league in touchdown passes last year. He's an all-pro. CeeDee Lamb is the truth. There's no questions around CeeDee Lamb. And what I love about CeeDee Lamb is I like that he held out. Yes, it caused a lot of controversy, caused a lot of conversations, but Jerry Jones is notorious for making his star players wait. Yeah. He did it with Troy Aikman. He did it with Emmitt Smith back in the day. He does that all the time because that's the way he negotiates. So why not call his bluff and make him
sweat? Yeah, right.
Jerry Jones sweat a little bit. He has billions of dollars. You know, he sleeps comfortably at night. Make him a little comfortable and hold out a training camp. But on the other side of that, CeeDee Lamb said after he got signed that he was probably one of the most he followed the film and watched film and tape more than almost anyone else on the team while he was away from the team. So he's ready. He said he was constantly texting back and forth with his teammates to make sure that he was staying on top of what's going on in training camp and discussing plays and technique and strategies. So CeeDee Lamb is all in, and I'm so glad that they got his contract done first, because with him sitting out, he became the priority.
Yeah, and I agree. And CeeDee Lamb is, like you said, one of the top receivers in the game. There's no argument about that. No matter where you put him, first, third, second, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's the top receiver in football, and Dak's favorite weapon in that he needs to succeed. And, so it was, and like I didn't have any, and I'm sure I didn't have any doubt that he wasn't going to get his money. It is just the fact that when, and it was just before the season started, or was it going to get into the season? And I don't think Jerry Jones wanted to really mess with that either. It's like, okay, you're messing up the chemistry. You're messing up what the Cowboys are trying to succeed at moving forward. He's trying to get another NFC East title, and trying to get something done in the playoffs. But it's just one of those things. Dak needs everybody at his disposal. So now that he has his number one target in, let's move on to Dak. And he's looking for his pay. Me and you've talked about this over the last couple of years, and they seem like they don't want to pay it. They won't pay him. Now he came out and said, I'm not talking Jerry Jones. I'm not talking negotiation. I want to get into this season, which is a smart movement. He wants to bet on himself. But, Dak, as we talk about all the time, he comes with different things. I think I said to you this before. Okay, if they don't pay Dak, and what's next? Like, who are you going to replace him with? I think people are not looking at that. Dak is a really good quarterback, a really, really good quarterback. Now, playoffs is a whole other thing. I won't even go there, but it's just more of he puts up great numbers. They win in the regular season, so he does what he's supposed to do. But what's your thing with Dak this season, and should they pay him? That's another question. And like I said, is this going to be the last year for Dak?
It's funny because it feels like it's deja vu. You kind of alluded to it. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this before. Yeah, because we've been through this before, right? Back in his under his rookie contract, they were talking about signing Dak as early as 2018. He came into the league in 2016. And they were talking about getting this contract done. I specifically remember Stephen Jones saying, we're working on this. We want to get Dak Prescott signed. Yes. And then they didn't sign him before the 2019 season. He goes on to have a great season. And they're like, okay, we're going to get it done in this offseason. They don't get it done before the 2020 season. Guess what? He gets hurt that season, right? Hurts his leg. And then he sort of showed his worth in his absence. The Cowboys go 6-10. And then the next spring in March of 2021, they had to sign him, right? Because he showed without me, you're nothing, Cowboys. So here we are again. I feel like we're at this again. And it kind of goes back to what I said about Jerry Jones making his star players wait. They did this to Dak before, where they paid Ezekiel Elliott first, or they paid DeMarcus Lawrence first. And I'm kind of feeling Dak on this, regardless of where you stand on Dak Prescott and his abilities. He's coming off the best season of his career. Yeah. He was the most accurate quarterback this season. He had a career best passer rating. He led the league in touchdown passes. He had the best season of his career. He has proven himself. Now, you say you don't want to talk about it, but we have to talk about his playoff, sure. Yeah. Because that is where, if he was doing great in the playoffs, the contract would have been signed. That's where true. The efficiency is, right? Of what Dak can do in the playoffs. And certainly he has dropped the ball in some of his playoff games, but some of those playoff losses and the failures of the Cowboys in the postseason don't all fall at Dak's feet. Right. I think there are three areas where you can point to that have nothing to do with Dak. The defense over Dak Prescott's 5 losses averaged 30 points per game. In all of those losses, they averaged allowing 30 points per game, I should say. Think about the play calling. I think about the second loss to San Francisco, when they lined Zeke up at center.
Yeah.
By himself. Remember that weird formation? When
very weird.
When the game was on the line. That has nothing to do with Dak, right? And the coaching. I remember after the Green Bay game, which was an absolutely dismal loss at home, when they had been undefeated at home, Green Bay comes in there and absolutely dog walks the Dallas Cowboys. And after the game, the head coach, who had been standing on that sideline all game long, when he was asked what happened, he said, I don't know. You don't know, bro? You are the head coach. Give me something, right?
Yeah, lie about it, something, right?
Something, So not all of it has been on Dak Prescott. The questionable coaching decisions by Mike McCarthy, the time management issues that he's had in the seasons that he's been with the Cowboys. So when you think about Dak Prescott's postseason failures, you got to take it within the context of all the failures across the Dallas Cowboys organization. They have failed him too, right? And in this sense, the Cowboys, yes, there's a question about the price tag. You know, they don't want to make him a $60 million quarterback. Well, it is their fault that they're going to have to pay him that much, because had they paid him when they should have years ago, right, back in 2018, 2019, he would cost a lot less right now. Even take that out of consideration. If they paid him before the deals with Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow got done, they still would have saved a few $1 million, right? A couple of $1 million there, right? So the waiting, right? They have no one to blame but themselves of the position that they're in with Dak Prescott. And throughout his time in the Cowboys, this experimenting, I think we were on the same, I was on your show when we were talking about this wide receiver by committee experience.
Oh, yes.
Right. And that's when they went out and spent the first round pick on getting Amari Cooper. And I feel like they're experimenting at this running back position too. They're not helping him as much as I love Zeke, and I'm glad he's back in the Cowboys uniform. How much is that helping Dak at this point of his career, where this is like a proven year, right? And I think Dak said it best. You know, you mentioned that he said he's not even paying attention to what Jerry Jones has to say at this point, because he's been through this before. He knows the showman that Jerry Jones is. And I think it was a very interesting response to a question they asked him. You know, does it matter if a contract gets done before the season starts or after? And he goes, you know, it says a lot if it's done before, if it is or it isn't. And they said, well, what if it's not? And he goes, well, this is just how people feel. Because Dak knows if they pay him before the season starts, even if it's by one day, he knows that they trust him to be the future of this organization. If it's after, then he knows that he's going to have to prove himself again, although he is coming off, as I mentioned before, his best season of his career.
Yes, he put up huge numbers, and he was second in MVP last season. And I mean, you can't deny the year that he had. I mean, he limited the turnovers from the past 2 seasons, especially from 2 seasons ago. And he did all he could do. I mean, there was nothing else. It's like you said, it's the whole totality of his career. It's now you talk about the playoffs and the lack of success. 2-5 in the playoffs, playing 1-3 at home. And you said Green Bay came in there and just dominated. Like they did all phases. Like Jordan Love and Aaron Jones, they just ran the football and they couldn't stop them. And the defenses couldn't stop them. Dak had a couple turnovers and it was over. It was over within the second quarter. So but it goes like I said, it's not just all Dak. You're right. It goes Mike McCarthy. I think me and you said it. Mike McCarthy as a coach, you can't just go up and say, I don't know what happened. It's like, I just don't know. Like, okay, come on. You could make something up. Just say, hey, we got whooped. We done something. We weren't prepared or something. It wouldn't have been, I'm sure, good for you, for the Cowboys fans, but at least you wouldn't got so much heat. You wouldn't got as much heat as you got. But you brought up a really good point about the Dak situation of the contract. Some of these other organizations, they paid their quarterbacks like quickly. They said, okay, we're gonna just get this locked in and then we'll build from there. Some got paid, may overpaid, but the teams, they said, you're our franchise quarterback, we're going to pay you. You know, it goes from he said Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, the Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. You know, even he was going through some contract situation, but he got his money and he got paid. So you got that Tua. So these teams are paying the quarterbacks, and that's probably sitting there thinking, hello, I'm over here. Now the price tag keeps going up. I know he's gonna get 60, but it keeps going up. That's
unlike those quarterbacks that you just mentioned, their contract negotiation drama, if there was any, wasn't dragged out in the media the way that Dak Prescott's. Now, granted, he is the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It comes with the nature of the DNA of this team. But that has to feel some kind of way too. Like, wow, why is it every time I'm up for a contract, Jerry Jones is the main instigator of the controversy and the drama and the conversation, because he gets in front of a camera and just can't say, we're working on it. Every time the face, just say, we're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it getting done. No, he has to say weird things, like when he said again about CeeDee Lamb that, there's no sense of urgency to get him signed. Your star wide receiver is sitting out of training camp and there's no sense of urgency. Like,
right.
Just say we're trying to get it done. We're working on it. And I think with Dak, in a lot of ways, it's kind of sad because I feel like a lot more of his comments in the media are reflective of a reality that he is starting to accept, which is that he may not be the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys come 2025. Right. And I think that he is becoming much more comfortable with the idea that he may be on another team. More importantly, he just had a baby, right? And so now he's a father, and now he's a family. He has a family to think about. And he doesn't have time for, he has to think about what is best for his family and his future. Yep. And to Dak's credit, he has been a really good company man.
Exactly. Yes, he has.
Right. He has done it by the book. He's not, he's not sat out of training camp or said he's not going to play if he doesn't get paid. He's done everything in the Cowboys' favor. So for them to do him like this again for the second round of contract negotiations, I believe Jerry Jones had mentioned that it wasn't as much as the length of this contract negotiation isn't much a reflection of what they think about Dak. It's just the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
I just really feel like bad for Dak. and to your point earlier, the scary thought is, well, if it's not Dak, then it's who? And the Cowboys are not, I don't believe the Cowboys are going to finish the season in a position where they can draft a quarterback high enough in the draft to make a difference. Right. They're going to win enough games where they're not going to be able to get a pretty good quarterback in the draft. Now, Dak Prescott was 4th round, and we lucked up with Dak Prescott, but the what's next, I think, is more fearful than keeping Dak and seeing what Dak can do this postseason and beyond.
Yeah, because I think it's going to come into now, with the Cowboys itself, they keep coaches and they do keep players for the most part. And even if Dak doesn't do well in the playoffs and they pay him, it's like, okay, you're the quarterback. We just got to figure out a way to at least get the right pieces around him, or the right team, right coaching, whatever it is. At least they say, you are a franchise quarterback. Maybe we should have paid you years ago, as we said, instead of keeping you on this, I guess, out of the loop. And now we're here again. And now the contract negotiations, because you said Michael Parsons, he's coming up too. So how do you pay all three? That's big negotiations and big contracts. But teams have done it because you come, like you say, go back to the Eagles. They paid Jalen Hurts. They extended AJ Brown. They got Devontae Smith. So Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, they're trying to. They say, okay, we're keeping this group for as long as we can. As long as we can do it, and try to stay at a high level at least. And now we have other areas we have to work on, but there's other things that we're trying to keep that core group together as long as we can, as long as they can stay healthy. So I guess that's what they want to do with Dallas. They're trying to do that, but as you said, it's just more late negotiations, and someone could go out of the three. I could see Dak Prescott, as you said, he could just be like, hey, he said he is a family man. He is he's just had a baby and everything too. He's thinking, I got to do what's best for me. So, and I know it's hard to hear as Cowboys, like where do you go next if he does leave? So.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the most nervous about that, because I'm not going to lie. After Green Bay lost, I was done. I was like, I am done.
I'm done with this.
Because it's easy, right? Because he threw those interceptions. So it's easy to kind of point the finger right at Dak and say Dak is the reason why the Cowboys can't get further in the postseason. But then when you take a step back and look at the totality of the situation, how poorly and inconsistent, as good as the Dallas Cowboys defense was last season, it was very inconsistent, right? There were blowout games last year, and then they obviously, blown out in the playoffs. So when you look at everything, you realize that, okay, it's not all Dak. And if it's not Dak, what are they going to do at quarterback come 2025?
Yeah.
If
And
Jerry Jones can answer that question for Cowboys Nation, then the answer is that you re-sign Dak.
Yeah, you have to. I think they have to. I think there's no question they have to resign Dak because they're not set up to be like, okay, I mean, Trey Lance, I don't think so. And
he's not
Cooper
ready yet.
No, and then Cooper Rush, as you know, it's not a franchise guy, you know. So
he's a solid backup. I think he's 5 and 1
yes.
as a starter. Like he's our backup. If anything ever happens to Dak, you know, pray God that nothing happens to Dak. Very confident Cooper Rush as the Cowboys backup.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, all right, we'll talk a little bit more Cowboys. You brought up Zeke Elliott back, Ezekiel Elliott back, as things like nostalgia for you guys bringing him in. And I know how big fan you are of Zeke and always been, and everything. What do you think of them bringing back Zeke? I mean, he's lost a lot, and he's 29 years old, but he's back in there and everything too. But what do you think of them bringing him back, and what can he contribute? He was pretty decent in New England. He was a backup, but he was pretty decent. So, but now as a full-time starter, he's lost a big step. But he's back as a Cowboy.
I just didn't understand this move.
Right.
I really didn't understand it. The Cowboy fan in me, right, who loves Zeke as a player, was, you know, like I said before, happy to see him back in the Cowboys uniform.
Right.
Super sad to see him leave, but also knew that it was what was best for the team at the time, with Tony Pollard stepping up and performing the way that he did. Well, when Tony Pollard leaves and the response is to bring in Zeke, I just don't quite understand that. His numbers have steadily declined year after year since his rookie year. He's not gotten any better. So the Cowboys are banking on that, you know, father time, he's going to beat it and suddenly play like 1,000-yard season. I just don't quite understand this. And I feel like they're doing the same thing that they did to Dak back in the wide receiver by committee season, right? Where they're doing this running back by committee, bringing in Dalvin Cook, who's coming off injury, who's also older, don't know how much he has left in the tank. And then they have Rico Dowdle, and I don't know what they're doing with this running back position. I do say it's probably one of the weakest spots on this roster, or weakest groups on this roster. And you're playing against the offensive line that had 2 huge losses in Tyron Smith and Tyler Biadasz. Right now, you bring in Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma and Cooper Beebe at center, but you're relying on rookies, right? And there's not a lot of depth there. And I would have to say the running game I'm a little nervous about, and I just don't see how much Deke helps, with the exception that he and Dak are best friends and they're the 214. So maybe his best friend back on the sidelines. You don't have to go out and play, bro. Maybe run a yard here, yard there, but maybe for team morale, to keep Dak happy, he's around like a cheerleader in some ways. I hate to say that I'll take that. I don't want to say Zeke is a cheerleader, but I just feel like given Tony Pollard's departure, the Cowboys did not address the running back position efficiently or effectively.
Like they should have, and everything too. Like you said, father time usually wins every time. But if used correctly, Zeke could be a little productive, but he cannot, carry the ball 300 times and try to catch 50. He cannot have that many touches for them to move forward. Maybe they said the running back committee. I mean, that's what it's going to be, I'm sure. But as you said, they're not giving Dak the right combination of things around him to succeed. Now, Dak, he can take over games and things like that, but you need that. A strong running game would only help. And we've seen that when Zeke was at his best, it does help that. So Tony Pollard, for all he was, it still opened up so much for Dak and the receivers, because you still had to respect the running game. So hopefully, I know. We'll see if that running back committee is what it is for the Cowboys, which you have your doubts. So.
Yeah, I have my doubts. I'm really concerned about it. And especially, I don't think we got to see Zeke in the preseason. Yeah, so I don't know what they're doing. Although, I'm not down on Rico Dowdle or the running backs that they do have in the room. I just don't see a true RB1 out of that group. That's what's concerning. That's what's concerning.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's talk about the defense, and then we'll move on to some of another dominant team in the NFC East. I don't know somebody that's wearing a jersey and everything too, but but the defense, as you said, the defense was good, was really good, and they were getting turnovers, they were scoring, but inconsistent, as you said. What's your expectation of the defense this upcoming season?
Yeah, more huge losses, especially along that defensive line. Dorrance Armstrong, they lost one of their coaching staff, I think, of the secondary coach, Joe Witt, obviously, and Dan Quinn going over to the Washington Commanders. So a lot of losses, but they bring in Mike Zimmer. So I am hinging the defensive success on whatever new philosophy that Mike Zimmer is bringing. I think the strongest group is the linebackers group. Obviously, you have Micah Parsons. They bring in Eric Kendricks from the Chargers. So I think that will be a strength of the team. And then my Texas Longhorn, DeMarvion Overshown, back from injury, and he's been lining it up in training camp and in preseason. So I'm excited to see him on the field and in a Cowboys uniform. So linebacker position, I feel pretty good about. Defensive line, I don't know if you noticed, but there's been a lot of trades and a lot of agents. A lot
of movement, yes.
Defensive line and trying to figure that out. I don't think they have that figured out yet. I think it's going to be a few games before they have that figured out. And thank goodness they don't play their true test. Actually, they have the Ravens week 3. So that line against Lamar Jackson is going to be a bit scary. But a little bit later on in the season is when they face the 49ers and the Eagles and the Texans, more potent offenses. So, the defense and the Cowboys are going to be without DaRon Bland, who led the league in pick sixes and interceptions last year for the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season. That doesn't bother me as much because, as we know, right, the Cowboys are needing to perform in the playoffs. And if DaRon Bland is back in time to finish out the rest of the season and be healthy enough and ready to go for the playoffs, that's when he's going to be needed the most. So, that's where I see the defense. I feel like they have some good pieces, but what is Mike Zimmer's philosophy, and can he get them to play at a higher and consistent level week in and week out?
Yeah, and like you said, it's a new philosophy. Pieces gotta be put together. Might take some time with that, how the defense is, but you're right. I think their linebacker core is really, really good. So that's the strength, and you get Trayvon Diggs back too. So that'll help the secondary for sure. I mean, he was playing lights out last season. So it was the secondary, as you said, losing DaRon Bland does hurt, but you said you do get Trayvon Diggs back, and I think the defense will be fine. And it's just like I said, much more consistent can they be when it counts against those strong offenses later in the year against like Detroit and San Francisco and Philly and Houston and just looking at Cincinnati. It's like, it's like that. It was almost like the Eagles the last year when they had that stretch where it was like 5-6 teams right in a row, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, this is like a murderous row of teams that we knew how that ended with the Eagles. It was a collapse, epic. I'm sure you was loving that. But it's going to be an interesting year for the Cowboys because I've seen predictions of them either getting first in NFC East or even down to third in the NFC East. So it's I've seen that. I've seen first and all the other third.
You find this stuff on the dark web where they have the Cowboys ranked third.
I've seen third. I have seen it somewhere.
I have not seen that.
I've seen that. And I'm thinking like I don't see third at all. I see the first or second. I see one of the two. But not third. Come on.
No. Yeah, so yeah, I see. I think it's going to be obviously very close between the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Yeah,
you know, the Cowboys have won the division 2 of the last 3 years. However, there has not been a repeat winner since, you know, the Eagles did it 2004 in the early 2000s. So yeah, I think it's going to be close. Looking at their schedule, you know, they're going to get tested. I mentioned before, really early on, playing probably the best defense they're going to face in the Ravens just in week 3. And then you mentioned the Lions. I think the best offense they're going to face is the 49ers in week 8. That's going to be followed by 2 back-to-back tough games against the Eagles and the Texans. You mentioned the Bengals, and then that week 17 game against the Eagles. That game is going to be so huge because I feel like whoever wins that game wins that division. I think the Eagles and the Cowboys are probably going to split their games, but that game is going to determine the division, and I think it's going to come down to one game who wins the division.
I agree 100%. I can't even argue that. Yeah, I agree. Because I think it's going to come down to Eagles Cowboys, and I did see some websites that had watched them like, not quite. You know, they're building. They are building. They got Jaden Daniels, so they're building. I think the Giants will be at the bottom, but it's going to come down to Eagles Cowboys.
Oh yeah, the Giants are going to be at the bottom anyway. So
anyway, right? They're going to be at the bottom because they got a lot of things there that hasn't lined up yet. So they're rebuilding too. So the two teams are rebuilding. But let's talk a little Eagles, since you said they're going to be 1 and 2 in some combination. The Eagles having some. They got some things coming up too. I mean, heading into this season, I don't think the expectations are as high. They sort of are, but they're not. You know, I don't feel like it's very high. Things like last year coming off a Super Bowl loss, like last season, because we don't know Nick Sirianni and this whole Jalen Hurts thing. How real is it? You know, and they got that whole thing going on, and we got a new offensive coordinator, your former offensive coordinator as well, Kellen Moore. How that's gonna present with Jalen Hurts and his skill set. So I'm looking for that. But what do you think as a division, being in the division, the Eagles' expectations, and what are you looking forward to and see what you see and what's going to happen with them as well?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni thing, because
of course.
I wonder how much of that is true and how much of that could play out this season. You know, Eagles have one of the best talented rosters coming into this season, right? Howie Roseman knows how to build a freaking roster, so I'll give him credit for that. However, huge loss in Jason Kelce's retirement.
Yes.
Thing I want to note is, Jalen Hurts was asked about that, and he said that Jason handled a lot of responsibility. He was like the pass rushing and making the calls on the offensive line, and he sort of took a lot of responsibility out of Jalen Hurts' hands. And Jalen Hurts said that he told him he didn't have to worry about too much. Well, now Kelce's gone, all of that is going to fall on Jalen Hurts. So not only is he going to have to perform as a quarterback, but he's also going to have to perform as sort of like the manning the line and calling out the defenses and doing all of that. He said he is eager to do that, but he said he felt like his ability to learn all of that was stalled because Jason Kelce handled all that stuff for him. So he has some big shoes to fill, taking on those responsibilities from Jason Kelce. But Eagles went out and got Saquon Barkley. That just like, oh man.
How did Giants allow this to happen, right?
Saquon Barkley behind one of the better offensive lines in the league, third in rush protection or run blocking. It's like, oh man, so that's troubling to me when I look at the Cowboys playing the Eagles. And then Eagles address the secondary and getting Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. But James Bradbury is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. That was yesterday. Which, I mean, as your friend, I would say that may be a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
I mean, he hasn't really come up in the big moments, but I think you said their expectations are kind of low. Is that what you said?
It's not as high. I mean, it's still Philadelphia Eagles, so it's going to be high expectations,
right?
But I think, okay, how about this? Their expectations are higher because of the collapse that they had coming off a Super Bowl. So there's expectations there. And of course, there's always expectations because the NFC East and it's Philadelphia. It's gonna be that. I'm just looking at and so like, okay, what are they going to do after this collapse? Can they exceed that? So I'm not going in as high as I did last season, but there are expectations.
I was just going to say, because you mentioned the coordinators, here's another season where they're coming into with new coordinators again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Albeit more Vic Fangio, coordinators with a lot more experience and better reputations, right, and better successes in their past. But it's new again, right? And it can go either way. It can be really good or it can be really bad. But I think like they addressed their secondary, as I mentioned before. They got CJ Gardner-Johnson back. I think that was a great move. Their questions have never been about their roster, right? The Eagles always going to have a really good roster. It's all about execution. And there are questions about Jalen Hurts. And not only is he going to, like I said, step up, right, in his playing and his completions and all those things, but he's also going to have to step up as a leader manning that offense.
Yeah, they're yes, and I agree. I think there's still questions. You said the roster is built, and they're building around that Jalen Hurts and his skill set. I'm looking forward to see how Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts, that relationship, because a lot of people had asked me throughout the podcast, why do you feel like they collapsed, losing 5 of their last 6, and there's part of this Jalen Hurts not developing. You know, that's a whole thing. He took a step back from that Super Bowl year, so he did take a step back. So there's that. There's the coach. There was coaching issues. There was offensive coordinator issues. There was that. The defense was just terrible down the stretch. They couldn't stop anything and anybody. So there was that whole thing. So you could point a finger to multiple reasons of why. I feel like too with Jalen, I think he was injured too, and they're more than they let on, because there was no explosiveness. He wasn't explosive passing the football. He was explosive running the football, and on top of that, I think teams have figured it out. Like, okay, we'll just have either we'll blitz and he can't read that blitz, or we'll just have 4 rush the passer and we'll drop back with 7. And now he's got to figure out his reads and everything too. So he has to improve on that too. So there's things. So I can be critical of my QB1 as well too. So yes, great year 2 years ago. Took a step back this year. I think it's gonna be a balance of those last 2 years. I think Jalen's gonna be fine though. I think they're gonna put him in a position to be a leader. He's gonna have to be that leader, and now I think they're gonna be fine though.
Yeah, and I think, looking at the projections for the season, both the Cowboys and the Eagles are projected to win anywhere from like 10 to 11, 12 games ish. So it's going to be a tight race for the NFC. As always, but I think especially tight this season because both teams do have really big question marks coming in.
They do. They really do. And the whole Sirianni Hurts relationship, because if that doesn't work, if Kellen Moore has some success here, does he become the coach? I mean, you just don't. I mean, you don't really know. But Sirianni, the Eagles got they got to start. They got to start really good, because now that Nick Sirianni, he's on the hot seat. He's very much on the hot seat, and it comes down to that coach and quarterback relationship, and you have to have that to be successful. And I think it does definitely come down to that. But the pieces are in place. The offense is there for Jalen Hurts to succeed again, become a leader. The last time he was doubted, they got to a Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens there. So I am very optimistic they'll have another good year for sure.
I'm happy for you.
But for sure. But let's talk about again some more of the NFC and AFC in general, the NFL in general. Do you believe that the Kansas City Chiefs, will they three-peat?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The Kansas City Chiefs, will they three-peat?
Oh, will they three-peat? I don't think so. I think what was interesting about about the Chiefs season, struggled through last season, but were able to put things together in the postseason. I think the teams are coming out this year much stronger. When you look at Detroit, when you look at what's going on the AFC side, there are 49ers, from the NFC. There are teams that I think, if the question is Kansas City Chiefs or the field, I'm taking the field because I feel like someone else can trip them up. Maybe it's the Bills finally this time. Maybe Josh Allen finally gets it done and gets past Patrick Mahomes in the postseason and gets to a Super Bowl. But yeah, I just feel like, and they also made improvements, but winning 3 Super Bowls has never been done in a row, and it's very difficult. And I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, it's just so hard.
What history has dictated, not necessarily anything against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs' trust. It's more, we just have not seen it before.
Yeah, and there's been all these great teams throughout history in the NFL, from the 90s and the Cowboys and the 49ers and even the Steelers in the 70s, and it's just been the Patriots. It's just never been done. But it's so hard to doubt and to go. Against.
Hold on, wait a minute. My Cowboys three-peated. Didn't we three-peat?
I think you won 2 out of 3. I think you won 2. You won 2, and then you might have lost, and you didn't, and then you won. I believe, I could be wrong.
Oh no, we're right. Yeah. Sorry, for a second there, I was like, didn't we 3? No, I'm getting.
They won 3. They won 3 out of 4, I believe.
And then we won 3 out of 4. Okay,
3 out of 4. Yeah, you won 3 out of 4 years. Yes.
Thinking.
Yeah, because even the Patriots, they never done it. They would win 2, and then they didn't, and So it's gonna be tough, but it's hard to go against. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and that whole thing. But you're right, the AFC, Baltimore should have beat them last year. They had everything in place. They had home field, and they were riding high. They had the 2-time MVP, and they just, Patrick Mahomes went right in there on the road and did what he does. And then 49ers had him on the ropes in the Super Bowl again. Didn't finish the job. So it's just the AFC up top, Houston. they're going to be really good, the Texans. So we'll see what happens with the AFC and that whole thing. But before I let you go, I want to ask you about Tom Brady and broadcasting. And he's going to be calling the Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns first game of the season. What do you think of Tom Brady and now finally broadcasting $37 million he's going to be getting broadcasting? What's your expectation for Tom Brady in his broadcasting career?
Honestly, I don't know what all he's going to be able to do, because it was just reported that
restrictions,
access is going to be very restricted to the teams because he's putting this stake in the Raiders, this ownership stake in the Raiders. So he can't go to the practices, or he can't have those pregame meetings that the broadcast teams have with the coaches and the players before the game. So I don't know how much he's gonna,
how much access he gets, right?
I did hear that a suggestion that maybe they should bring back Greg Olsen and have a 3-person team, because Greg obviously he has the freedom to do whatever he wants and have the access that he wants, and then have Tom Brady be, much more of a freestyle analyst role. But I mean, it's a bad omen, obviously, to have Tom Brady call the Cowboys games. The Cowboys didn't finally beat Tom Brady until his last game in the playoffs. His final last game, Cowboys sent him off to retirement, but
officially retirement.
Brady dominated the Dallas Cowboys throughout his career, so I'm not necessarily thrilled about hearing his voice over the Cowboys' first game season. I think Tom Brady, it's weird because I know he has personality. I know he has it. And I've seen him do podcasts, and I've seen him on TV shows here and there. But just hearing, when it's just your voice, right? There's a special skill in that, and a special talent, and something that comes innate with someone who can carry something just hearing it. I don't know, because I haven't just heard Tom Brady talk, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? We've seen him, he looks good,
he's starting to interact a little bit better. Yeah.
Right. But like to just hear his voice and what he can do, and I don't know what Fox saw before he retired to give him this $10 million deal where they were confident that he can do the job, or if it was just because he's Tom Brady. But remember, Jason Witten, love him as a Cowboy, but he was really bad, right? And so
it was really bad.
Always, yes, Tony Romo, right? That was excellent. Troy Aikman, excellent, but not all of them cash in. And I just don't know. I don't know how good he's going to be. I'll just say that. And with this added layer of all these restrictions of access that he's going to have, I don't know how it's going to work out.
Yeah, when that released yesterday, and I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh yeah, he's in the part ownership for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's part of the team, and it's like that's a conflict of interest. Now I know it has been done. I know, and I think it was in the NBA. I think it's been done, but they don't get a lot of access because you can't, because it's like you're in meetings, broadcast meetings with, say, Andy Reid and the ownership or whatever, and they're not going to give you anything because you're going to think you're going to go back to the Raiders, and when they play the Raiders or anything, especially within the division, the Chargers and the Broncos, they're not going to give you much of anything. It's like you're sitting there and thinking, oh, am I going to be able to get any nuggets or no? Because you're going to go back and tell the Raiders, oh, this is their game plan. This is what this is what they're working on. So so you've got to be restricted from that.
Brady has a history, okay?
Yes.
Patriots.
The Spygate, the Flakegate.
He's around some thievery and some cheatery. So I don't know if or hesitant
cheatery thing. Yeah. yes.
Folks be concerned.
That's a good point. That's a really good, funny point. But it's true. It's like, the Patriot way, and this, like, you can't. I hope he does well. Because they're paying him a lot of money, and like you brought the 3-man booth. I don't know how that would work, because I don't think you pay someone that type of money to be third, because if Greg Olsen gets back in there, Greg Olsen is the better, with the experience, just a better broadcaster as of right now. But you bring in a 7-time Super Bowl champ, I don't see how that would work. Eagles
did Fox know? Remember, this deal was done a long time ago. That Tom Brady was then going to go and get ownership stake in an NFL team? Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the big question. Did they know? And if they knew, obviously they have a game plan around it. But I think they didn't know. I think he signed a contract. That's a done deal. And then later on, he's going to get this ownership team. And now Fox is like, oh shoot, we got to figure something out.
Yeah, we gotta do something, because we can't have him be part owner and then our lead he's on the number 1 team, lead broadcaster as well. You're right about that. It's gonna be interesting. I'm interested to see how that navigates, how that story is gonna go, because Greg Olsen's still looming around, and we see he caught a really good Super Bowl. He's good. He's really good. He will get I know he's gonna be on the second team, broadcast team, but if this doesn't work, he can just slide right into that, and he would be a number 1 in a lot of different networks. If all the networks didn't have a number 1 team already, Greg Olsen would have been a number 1 broadcast team. Would be on a number 1 broadcast team as well. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with that, and also Bill Belichick getting all these gigs too. Like, talk about a guy with no personality. How is that gonna play out too on that? I mean, great football mind, but he's gonna be on a Pat McAfee. He's going to be on the Manning cast. I mean, the Manning cast, I think, it will fit, because they'll just talk X's and O's and things like that. But he's got a Sirius XM radio show now, and he's going to be on Inside the NFL. He's got a lot of gigs. I never thought Belichick would get all these gigs either. I mean, we thought he'd be coaching for one.
Right. I know. I thought that was the biggest surprise of the offseason when it comes to the coaching corral, that the fact that he wasn't picked up by a team. But I think he's taking a gap year. I think he's just waiting it out. He knows Mike McCarthy he's on thin ice. He knows Nick Sirianni's on thin ice. There's a couple other head coaches that are sitting on the hot seat. He just Robert Saleh, he's just kind of waiting it out, see how it all pans out. He'll take a little gap year, play on TV for a little bit. I'm Bill Belichick.
Yes.
When it's time next season, come January, seeing where these teams fall and how things lay out, I think that's where he's going to figure it out. And Jerry Jones, I thought you were going to ask me about Jerry Jones and being a GM.
Yes. We got to get that before you go. Yeah, we got to
well, pose the question. Let me just
Yes, Jerry Jones at GM saying, "Oh, there's no one that could do this job like me, and no one could do this and everything." We'll end it with that. What was your reaction to Jerry Jones basically saying, "Over my dead body, I'm not going anywhere"? So, as a long-term Cowboy fan, what would you say for that?
Let's end it on a note where I am going to be mad on my way to work. Yeah. So Jerry Jones, I went back and read it because, the thing about Jerry Jones is that he kind of speaks in this way where you kind of have to translate what he said. And so I just kind of kept going back and I kept reading over. And I get it now because our perception as NFL fans or as sports fans of success is different than Jerry Jones. Right? We see success as what your team is able to do in the postseason, how many championships have they won, how many titles have they won. That's success. Jerry Jones' success, the Cowboys are the highest value team, sports franchise in the world at $10 billion. The Cowboys are the most talked about team. They're the most watched NFL team. They sell, I think they're at the top of the league in selling merchandise. They have a global fan base. They're the most searched team online in the NFL. That's success in Jerry Jones's eyes, right? And as far as other GMs coming in and do the job, of course, someone else can come in and run this team well, of course. But can anyone else come in and run the Dallas Cowboys organization as the business that Jerry Jones is running, right? Jerry Jones, the way I was thinking about this as I was prepping for the show, I was like, telling myself, I said, Jerry Jones has a sports team. He's the GM of a business that just happens to be a sports team.
Yes.
Whereas other GMs are GMs of a sports team.
And that's it. Yeah, right.
And championships or whatever. Whereas Jerry Jones, it's a business. He's running this as a business. And when it comes to what he's been able to do with the Dallas Cowboys as a business, as a marketing and brand titan, he is one of one. And to that extent, he is right. No one right now, he's 81 years old, so he has to be thinking about succession at some point. But no one right now can come in and do what he's doing. And he does it at the expense of peace for his team. And what I mean by that is, he gets it from the camera and he drops things, right? I talked about this earlier, how he said that there was a sense of urgency in signing CeeDee Lamb. He drops these little things to like create controversy and just, he can't just sometimes just keep it playing and keep it moving. Right. How many GMs are in front of the camera as much as Jerry Jones is, right? So in that sense, like he knows what he's doing. And I think I'll never forget, this was just this month. I'll never forget. I was like, see, that's it right there. So the day that Jerry Jones made that comment about CeeDee Lamb, there's no sense of urgency in getting this contract signed, that quote, went all over Twitter, and CeeDee Lamb tweeted it and said, or quote tweeted it and said, LOL. Right. So then it was like, oh, and everyone's talking about that. Oh, CeeDee Lamb. The very next day, the report came out that the Dallas Cowboys are the highest value franchise at $10 billion. Like the very next day. And so I remember telling myself when that report came out, I was like, Jerry Jones wins. See, Jerry Jones is about that, right? About y'all talking about the Cowboys all the time, the controversy, what's going on, who, because at the end of the day, you're going to watch them. At the end of the day, everyone's eyes are going to be on them, and that is his win. That is his success. He doesn't see success the way we see it. If the Cowboys don't win the Super Bowl for another 20 years, for the Cowboys to have not even gotten as far into the playoffs past the divisional round in nearly 30 years, but they're still the most watched team. They still have the largest fan base. They're still the highest valued sports franchise. Jerry Jones knows he's doing something right.
Yeah.
That's where I sit with that. I think it took me, I was kind of taken aback, like, what? And I was like, no, he's right. No one else can come in and run the Cowboys as the business that it has been, the successful brand that has been, better than him right now.
Yeah, exactly. Very well so, because he is a business. He runs it, you said, like a business. He runs it like a business. And he's thinking, this is my business. It's interesting. It's like, not to get put into politics, but it's like Trump as a businessman ran the country like a business. He ran as his presidency like a business, because he said, oh, I'm president, but I'm running like a business. Jerry Jones, the same thing. He's running his football franchise as a business, because that's what his mind is. His mind is business set and everything else. So that's how it goes. And that's how he's always run it. Maybe in the beginning, he did run it like a football team, but as he got older and he's got more success and more money, and the value of the Cowboys continues to keep growing, he thinks of it as a business. Because you're right. It is interesting that he did say, oh, there's no rush. There's no rush to get CD done. There's no rush. And that report comes out, and then CD gets paid, the next few days afterwards? Like, so he's negotiating. He's running a business, and he's negotiating it this way. Let me drop a nugget here for the media to talk about, for fans to talk about. In the next couple of days, a deal gets done.
Because he knows he is the most skilled showman in the NFL. Why he's the top owner, the most talked about owner. He's the most front-facing owner of the ownership group, because he knows what he's doing. Now, the flip side of that is, I think one of the best GMs in the NFL right now is Howie Roseman, because he finds a way with the Eagles to improve that roster, sees a need, fills it, and doesn't drag things out, right? And if Jerry Jones really wanted to run the Cowboys in that way, the Cowboys could see some significant improvements, because after the end of last year, when the Cowboys, like I said, I use the word dog walk, because that is the best way I can describe it.
They were there, yeah.
And did in AT&T Stadium, is dog walk the Dallas Cowboys. I would think after that loss, which was embarrassing on so many levels, that there would have been a seismic shift, a seismic change to whether it be the coaching staff or the roster.
Right.
There was none. First day of free agency, Cowboys did nothing, right? And so I think Jerry Jones is just as comfortable with doing the bare minimum, right, when it comes to piecing this team together, because he knows at the end of the day, Cowboys are going to play enough games or win enough games to keep you wrapped in the regular season, right? And then, okay, if they fall off in the postseason, same merry-go-round. Everyone will talk about it. They'll be the most talked about team next offseason, right? Then maybe the Dak at the quarterback position, whether he's going to be here or not, there's going to be so many things to talk about. And he knows that. And as long as there's so many things to talk about, it's money in Jerry Jones's pockets. He knows it.
He knows it. He knows what he's doing. He's a very very intelligent individual, business-minded individual. And he knows that the value just keeps going up. The more they're talked about, the more the value goes up for the Dallas Cowboys. No matter if their success on the field doesn't translate, he knows that they're still going to be the Dallas Cowboys, the most marketable, the most, they make the most money. They all those things that you talked about earlier. It's just the way it is. If we talk about Patriot way, that's the Cowboy way. It's just the way it is. It just so happens. So, Crystal, it's always great catching up with you. Glad I can finally get we could do a show together. I do miss this when we used to do this on a regular basis every few months and stuff, but things happen, life happens, jobs happen, things just, moving happens, things just always happen. But it's always great to catch up with you and see the landscape, not just in sports, just in general, everything that you got going on and as well. So I really appreciate you coming on the show again, and let everyone know where they can follow you and what you got coming up this upcoming season. Like I said, high school football, college football, NFL, but what else you got coming up?
Yeah. And again, always grateful to be here, Courtney, and share this time with you and talk about Cowboys and Eagles and neither one of our teams winning the Super Bowl. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Crystal Stone _. I'm also on TikTok, Crystal Stone 402. There's no significance to that. That was just the generated name.
Same thing.
Yeah. So obviously new sports reporter anchor here in the Albany area. So I cover high school sports, college sports here, and then all kinds of things. We just left the Saratoga racetrack yesterday. Lacrosse, I mean, you name it, I cover it. Soccer. So I'll be doing that all this fall and into the next year. And then things I have coming up outside of this job. Actually, I'm graduating from the Rising Media Stars program. In 2 weeks. So that program is a mentorship program for women of color coming up in the sports broadcasting world. That's led by LaChina Robinson, ESPN broadcaster, and Kevin Nixon. Being in this program for the last year has been so instrumental in my growth, especially in my first year working as a sports reporter. I've gained so many new skills. I've grown my craft and grown in so many ways. So I'm so grateful. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks, the official graduation from that program.
All right. Congratulations on that. And shout out to Cindy my fellow Eagle fan.
Oh, Simone.
Simone. Yes. My fellow Eagle fan, Simone. Yes. I've had her on the show quite a few times, and yeah, my fellow Eagle fan. She does her thing too, Simone Stanley. So yeah, shout out to her as well, part of that group as well. So congratulations on that to LaChina Robinson, doing tremendous work with the rising stars of that too. So I've seen that over the last couple of years on Twitter and stuff too. So yeah, it's great things happening for everyone, especially us people of color. It's just, I love seeing it. Just love seeing the wins and happening. So now we get down and everything too. So, but again, Crystal, thank you again. Many blessings to you, and we'll have to do this again maybe sometime mid-season or maybe before the playoffs. But I'm definitely going to keep you. I'm sure we'll be talking outside of this anyway. So I love having you on the show. So again, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Courtney. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Talk to you soon. All right, that was Miss Crystal Stone. Always enjoy having her on the show. Back at it. Great conversation as always. Just trying to get my next guest on here on the show. So I'm going to take a quick break and see if I can, my last guest of this marathon of the NFL preview show. So we'll be right back with my last guest, and stay tuned in, stay locked in. We'll be right back with more of The Real Deal.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV. All right, welcome back to another
half hour of this episode. I mean, it's been so many great guests onto the show, NFL preview show. I'm just glad I was able to get this show. I've been preparing for it for the last couple of weeks and on this Saturday afternoon. But I cannot, last but not least, she's the last guest of the show, big friend of the show. And I enjoyed having her on the show the last time we did one a little while ago. And she's podcaster, content creator, just a general all-around great person to have back on the show. So I welcome back to the show herself. Sanaz said so herself. Sanaz, what is good?
Up, Courtney.
Hey, how are you doing?
You know, man, I wish I could be doing a little better if the Chargers were making some good moves, but we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about today.
Yes, we do. We got to catch up because it's been a while, even though we talked off camera a lot. Yeah. And almost not every day, but because you do a lot of lives and I jump on and we do those things and everything too. But again, I'm glad to get you back on, and it's just I had to when I was doing this show, I wanted to do a big kind of mega NFL preview show, but talk about other things too. But I wanted you to be one of the guests on here, so glad that we were able to do this.
I appreciate that. I know my style. Gosh, I mean, it's hard to follow up the act that was just on. I mean, she is poised and she is amazing, and I'm like, here comes this tornado about to come in and just say it how she really wants.
No, different day. Different styles, different everything. I love it. So, and I can't forget the Fighter and the Kid. Can't forget that as well. Get that on YouTube and everything too. But how's everything going? I mean, you've been busy and doing a lot of different things. So yeah, how's it all going? How's your summer been? That's first and foremost.
Summer's been okay. We've been super busy between like you mentioned, Fighter and the Kid, which I helped co-produce and I'm talent on. And then on top of that, Brendan Schaub has started this truck giveaway. And I'm sort of the COO of everything that has to do with that. Like we wear many hats.
Yeah.
We wear many hats. And I'm just so excited for hockey and basketball to come back because then it's the time I really shine on that show. When I start talking about that stuff and Brendan and Brian are just like crickets. And it's like, it's so cute to have the girl know more than anything. Yeah. We had a clip recently when I was talking about the Chargers and Brian Callen was like, oh yeah. The San Diego Chargers, how are they doing? And both Brendan and I were like, are you effing kidding me, bro? Like, they've only been here for that many. It's so great to have this juxtaposition of like the female knows more about sports when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think we should start off today by saying just a prayer and a reminisce to the Goodrow family.
Yes. Yeah.
I know it's not football related, but it is sports community, and we are all one big family. And to have, I get a little emotional because I worked with Johnny Hockey a little bit. To lose both him and his brother,
I know
the day before his sister's wedding. I just never understand why people drink and drive, and the hockey world is very sad today.
They are for sure.
And I think we'd be remiss not to give him a shout out and his family and send prayers to his family because we are one big sports community here.
We are. Yes.
I got a great news story for you though.
Oh yeah. But prayers to his to their family and
absolutely
and that they're able to like I said, just prayers for for just good vibes and good everything to for them. And
I can't imagine losing both your sons. And I mean, Johnny Goodrow, listen, Johnny Hockey is one of the coolest damn names.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Fish Flash, you got the great one. You got
Hockey.
Yes. So it just sucks.
Yeah.
And like I said, we'll be sending plenty of prayers out there, and there'll be some links in my bio.
Yep.
Help in any way we can. But I got a great story for you guys.
Oh yeah, you know I love your stories.
So your girl's at the Comedy Store, and she's, you know, I frequent there a lot, and I'm taking my little brother and his girlfriend to see a dear friend, Adam Ray, who portrays Dr. Phil. It's this bit that has grown from 0 to sell out in months in advance. And it's so funny. And so we're sitting there, we're watching it. It's great. Like, calls us out a couple times. The show ends, and, you know, I don't know if you're aware with the Comedy Store, but there's like a little bar area where people kind of hang out.
Okay.
So my brother and his girlfriend are sitting there, and they're kind of arguing, and I'm just kind of sitting there looking around, and I look out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, is that Jim Harbaugh?
Oh.
And I immediately grab the purses. I look at my brother and I go, whatever you do, don't stop recording. And he's like, recording what? I'm like, turn it on and shut up.
Yes, right.
I run over there and I wait for my time. And as soon as him and Mr. Harbaugh walk up, by the way, he's not incognito. Chargers hat, Chargers sweater. He knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately go up to him and I'm like, Mr. and Mrs. Harbaugh, the city owes you a debt of gratitude. We've been waiting for this, you know, the second coming of Jesus for many years, and here you are. And we have nothing but total faith in you. And I know it's going to take you a while to fix this team. And I'm just a huge fan. And he's like, oh my gosh, you have so many nice things to say. And I went, yeah, except one thing. What the F are we doing with our wide receivers?
Mm-hmm.
His face dropped.
Just dropped, right?
And I'm looking at him going, bro, you want to put all this money in front of Herbert. We want to get him the best, you know, protection. Who's he gonna throw the ball to?
Yes, exactly. Right.
We have no running back. Okay. No. We have no wideouts. What is he gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. And he was such a humble guy. And as we're talking, he puts this like big dip of a lip into his mouth. And I'm like, oh, thank you for not waiting till we're done, by the way.
Yeah.
And we just got along so great. And I truthfully have said this. From the moment Harbaugh came over to our team, give us 3 years.
Yes. In
3 years, we will be a Super Bowl team. And I trust him. And I just don't trust the wide receivers we're doing. I also don't trust the backup quarterback we're getting. I mean, if someone can explain to me why Tyler Hanke, I don't know. I don't get why Tyler Hanke's here. I really don't understand it. And then, you know, like, I think that means Herbert's not at his 100 yet. And we need a backup that's somewhat decent. And then on top of that, like, what did they give Cameron Dicker $22 million?
Yeah, they just paid him. Yeah.
A kicker?
Yeah. They just paid him.
This reminds me of years ago when the Raiders had the #1 draft pick, and they were like, we're going to take a kicker who looks like a WWE superstar. Like, I sometimes watch these things and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Like you said, it's going to take time for the Chargers to really, and I think you said this, I think we said this before when you were on here the first time. You're like, if they can get, I think this was during the time they didn't have Harbaugh yet, but you said if they get someone like Harbaugh or a coach, a competent coach, it's going to take a little bit of time, because now he's going to have to unlock just Herbert. As talented as he is, they have to continue to unlock him, because he has put up numbers, but it's just more of, okay, they just need coaching to be able to get him over that next hump. Now, some of it is him. He's got to just play better, but he has all the intangibles. Our, you know,
No.
our,
He
you
has
know,
a line.
yeah, all the intangibles. But now they've lost receivers, and you lost running backs. So now it's like, okay, what type of offense are you going to run? They want to run the football, and J.K. Dobbins, he can't stay healthy.
No.
You got Gus Edwards. He's not a guy that you could just hand the football to. He's a touchdown machine inside the 5-yard line for sure. What are you doing? And you lose Keenan Allen. You lose Mike Williams. You have a young core. So, yeah, who is Justin Herbert going to throw the football
Mike
to?
Williams was the tough one for me because I've been a Keenan Allen fan since the Chargers days.
Yeah.
I get his expiration is coming up. I get his injuries are coming up. But like to lose Mike, I just, and it's funny because when I said it to him, his own wife was like, yeah, no one knows what you're doing with that. Completely shamed him.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool conversation. I have nothing but great things to say about this guy. Super easy to talk to, not trying to hide who he is. Like just sat there and talked to us for a while. And I love that. I want a hometown coach who wants to be a hometown coach. Now, the funny fact of this is my brother's a Ravens fan. So my brother's sitting there like the whole time not talking. And Jim goes, you got nothing to say. And my brother goes, I'm a big fan of your brothers, not you. And Jim went, you know what? Me too. I thought that was really cool. And then, there's just other things like you guys were just talking about, like, oh my God, like I'm just ready to tell you, blow my freaking brains out. I don't want to hear Mr. Sleeve cut off over here.
Oh, the Bill Belichick, right?
Well, you have the personality of a wet mop that's been like left in a humidifier and stoned for 5 days. Like, I don't want to hear you talking. You're boring. Greg Olsen is the literal SHIT. He is so good at commentating.
So good.
Was my favorite tight end for many years. He just has he's so good at it, and like it's this reality I think some people have that like, well, if so-and-so is good at their job, they'll be good at any job. No, that's like saying Kobe Bryant would have been a great coach. He would have been the worst coach ever. Or commentator ever. There's something about Bill Belichick. I don't care for him. And then, even Tom Brady, like Tom to me, look, hear me out. Tom looks like the clown from It. You take one look at that and you're never going to unsee that. And Tom has kind of this like underhanded assholeness. And I don't know if you watched the roast of Tom Brady.
Yes, I did see some of that roast.
Okay, well, one part you didn't miss, and I know this because I worked with Tony Hinchcliffe. Tony said when he was walking up the stairs, and he said, "Nice shoes. Did you get those in the divorce?" Oh. Tom moved his mic and said, "Yeah, and I'll shove them straight up your ass." And Tony turned around and was like, do I acknowledge this or do I not acknowledge this?
Yeah.
And continue on with my day. Like, Tom ain't a sweetheart. And I don't care who you are. I'm never going to forget you kissing your kid on the mouth for that long.
Yeah, that's not it at all.
Courtney, I want to ask you, like, of all the teams, who has the biggest level for improvement? I've got my ideas, but like,
oh, that's a good question.
Who do you think, like, right now?
Let's see. Of all the teams in the NFL, I think the Houston Texans are the team that they're getting they nobody expected them to be as good as they were last year.
No.
And now you get Stephon Diggs in this offense where the offense was already good. they have CJ Stroud's going to take the next step, continue to keep improving. They have a good defense. I think they're going to make a lot of noise in the AFC for real. They're one of the teams I think can really challenge the Chiefs. I know Baltimore, you got Buffalo still. You have teams, but I think Houston is a team that could put it all together and really improve. So I have them really making noise in the AFC.
So I had them high up until I saw that little clip of Stephon being Stephon, aiming at CJ Stroud in a preseason game. I'm sorry, Stephon Diggs, you've become a cancer. You've become a cancer. And like, it's hard to work with you, and Caleb's young. He's still learning. He has to sit there and take it to some regard. But it bums me out because I don't know. I'll tell you who the one team I think above them are the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, of course, I think that's a team that's dangerous and can really they've proven they can beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. They've done it. They've done it before, and he's been to a Super Bowl. I'm with you on the Bengals too. That can really make noise, especially if Joe Burrow can stay healthy. That's a big if.
Have we heard? And then look, the Ravens. I have to say this because I have a keeper league, and I kept Lamar Jackson. I had to. Normally, I would never keep a quarterback, but he's ranked top 4 in like fantasy this year. What am I going to do? Keep him? No,
you got to keep him.
I got to keep him, and I kept Tyreek the free kill. I'd like another good year out of him.
Oh, for sure. And I've had Tyreek. I had Tyreek on my fantasy team last year.
Like 10 years, right?
Yeah. I had him last year with AJ Brown. They were my first 2 picks. I had the first 2 picks came around. I'm like, I was riding pretty, and I got my man Jalen Hurts, who I'm representing, as you know, as an Eagle fan, of course. And so I had a really good year. I lost in championship, but I had a really good fantasy football year. So, speaking of fantasy football, how many leagues are you in? Are you in just one league?
We're in one league, and let me pull up my league for you because it is nasty. So every year, I only do one league, and it's the same league I've done with the same 11 guys I went to high school with.
Okay.
This league is a nightmare. Let me put it to you this way. It's a darn nightmare because it's a big buy-in. I don't do any other league, and this is it. It's a keeper league, so I kept Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill. I went for Mike Evans.
Okay.
I went for Joe Mixon. I have a good feeling about Joe. I got George Kittle as my tight end because I feel like they're going to use him a little more this year.
Yep.
Terry McLaughlin. This was my Washington guy. I don't know. Backup quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Get me out of here, Tua. You know you're going to air that ball.
Right out to Tyreek. Yep.
I needed that. I got Brian Thomas Jr. from Jacksonville. Here's where I may or may not have taken an edible and I made a mistake and I picked up Pat from Pittsburgh. But I got Ty Chandler from Minnesota, Cole Kent from Chicago, and Gabe Davis. And of course, my kicker, Cameron Dicker from the Chargers.
Now the newly paid Cameron Dicker.
And you know what? Don't miss.
Yes.
I've had an issue with Chargers kickers from Nate Kading.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not a fan of you. So, but I love fantasy. For me, it's a way to connect with my friends still. We have a group chat that I won't be honest. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mute it most of the time because I can't handle the reading of it.
It's all, too much.
But the consensus every year is if Sanaz wins, like I'm quitting the league. And your girls come in first 3 times and second like a couple times as well.
Yeah. I get it. Yes.
I gotta talk to you about that jersey you're wearing.
Oh, you know it. My man Jalen. My QB1, yes.
Yeah, let's hear about that. What happened last year, Bobo?
Oh man. Okay. So I've talked about this a lot. So I have my got my points in, but no, the collapse was was really bad, and it was terrible, a terrible feeling, and they didn't get blown out in the playoffs and everything. I think it was a lot of things. I think it was Jalen Hurts took a step back. I think he did in his development. I think there was that. I believe he was more injured than he let on. He tried to play through, and he did, but he wasn't as explosive as he was 2 years ago. He wasn't running as good as he was. He wasn't passing as good as he was. So that there was part of that. I think it was offensive play calling. I think it was the defense. It was a lot of factors. So everybody gets blamed. Everybody gets blamed. So now they got new offensive coordinator, got new defensive coordinator, but now we got Saquon. Offensively, we shouldn't. Mm-hmm. So that's. I think the Eagles will be better, and they have to be, because you can't collapse like that. I just don't see them collapse like that again. But it was a lot of different. I think it was a more inside turmoil than a lot of things. I think it was coaching and Sirianni and Hurts. That story, that whole thing. Maybe they're not getting along as much now, and so now they got some competency play callers now on both ends. So let's see if they improve.
I mean, you got AJ Brown, you got Devontae Smith. Like, what are we? Come on.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been.
Your backup Kenny Pickett. He's not the worst, but come on, man. Did you see that story about Cooper DeJean?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to know. And for those of you who don't know, Cooper DeJean was at the NFL draft. He's sitting there with his family. He's waiting for that call, gets a phone call, picks it up, and it's a prank phone call.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who did this to you?
Yeah. Right.
That's
bad.
Kid, man. And, I just think that I think the Eagles were one off. One off. And then we know we're going to have to talk about the team I dislike the most. Well, there's two. It's the Raiders, and there's this guy. Raiders, don't even get me started with Gardner Minshew.
Named the starter. Yep.
I cannot with his hair. I don't know if you saw that viral clip. I used it as a current event on Fighter and the Kid, where they're at Raider Stadium.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah. What do you guys have to do to have a better season? Not get arrested.
Yeah.
Truer words never spoken. But when I look at the 49ers, and this is what I have to say to you. A team with so much potential.
So much talent.
A team with so much talent. Now, I didn't draft Debo for a reason, because I don't trust Debo. Okay? He's hurt all the time. And Ayuk, I should have drafted because now he got that contract, but whatever. I feel good about Kittle. Kittle's good for maybe 1 to 2 a game,
Yep.
And I think they're going to use them a little more, especially when Debo gets hurt again. But if you want to tell me you're a Super Bowl caliber team and you make it to the Super Bowl and you don't know the damn overtime rules.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Get out. You don't belong here.
Yeah.
And then the worst part of the whole thing is when they're coming forward and being like, yeah, no, we didn't know.
You're right. The team didn't know, right? Yeah.
We didn't know. But hey, my wife is making some pretty cool jackets if you want to buy them. Jesuit or whatever. Are we in a parallel universe?
It looks like it.
And then the Ravens over here, we practiced 90 plays for that situation.
Yeah. Yep. I just don't. San Francisco, they knock on the door. They're there. They have such a super talented team, and they should have beat the Chiefs. And as you said, you don't know the overtime rule? Hey, come on, man.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, what are we doing here? Yes, what are we doing? It's they I don't know. I don't know what to make of them this year. They're gonna be in the mix, of course, but are they gonna win it? I don't think so. And then as you said, the Raiders. I don't know what they're doing. A new coach, there's Gardner Minshew, and the Raiders are going to be the Raiders. They're just going to be the Raiders, of course.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about the Raiders. For me, it's so tough. Like, this is a team that, like, no matter what, has this stigma to them. It's never getting better. I don't know how to make it better. Like, it's funny. My friend went to a Raiders practice because she was getting her citizenship, and they said you could stay for the practice, and she goes, "There's so many here dressed in costumes." No, sweetheart, that's what they wear.
Yep.
Like, this is what, and as a diehard Charger fan, and I've told you, like, in previous life, I've worked for specific athletes, I've worked for teams, and I've been sideline at a 50-yard line Chargers game. And I will tell you, the one Charger game I will never go to every year is the Charger Raider game. It's the same as an Anaheim Ducks, Los Angeles Kings game. The crowd is too rowdy on both sides. I'm not singling a side out.
Right. No.
This thing of like, hey, my team has sucked for 15 years. My team has sucked for 15 years. Let's just go at each other.
Right. Yeah.
And go, because I mean, look at it. Face it, the Chargers have never been the same without LT. Never. Right. And then like, turf toe is not a joke. People hear something like turf toe when Antonio Gates had it. No one took it seriously. Now Herbert has it.
Yeah. It's like you're right. I think when you have these two like rival teams and they clash like that, because even with the Eagles and Cowboys, I mean, when I went to that game here, it just fights, and then I'm not down with all that. It's like I'm I just want to enjoy the game and go home.
Bro.
Win or lose. I mean, I want my team to win, of course, but I don't want to do it because even I used to live in upstate New York and went to Bills games, and when the Eagles would come to Buffalo, Bills Mafia, they get super rowdy too. It's like,
whatever happened to the common jaw jacking where we go back and forth and back and forth.
Right.
And this is where I get a little vicious. Like, I went to Kansas City, Arizona Chargers game.
Okay.
When you walk in, they give you like a free hat.
Yes.
So they walk up to me and I was like, "Oh, no, thanks. I don't want it. Like, I'm a Chargers fan." And then I'm sitting down and I'm looking at these, like, it was a Chargers Chiefs game. So I walk in, I take the free Chargers hat, and I see all this Kansas City fans with their Chargers hat. And, like, I'm all for playful fun. Like, I'll turn around and be like, "Hey, I see you took the free hat though, huh?"
Right.
I guess we're not a real fan, because I could tell you what, if you handed me a Kansas City hat, I'd spit on it and throw it on the floor. That's cool. You take your free hat, boo-boo. Like, I'm to that level of like, this is hard on me. Sunday's coming up. If I'm dating anybody at the time, they just know Sundays are a no-go. I can't. You know what? I want to ask your opinion while you're on here. Do you like Red Zone?
I do like Red Zone.
So you don't have ADD, do you?
No. I do like Red Zone. I like watching the game itself, but I don't mind Red Zone. Yeah.
It's too much ADD for me, man.
I just don't like it's just too much like going on. You're at the Red Zone here. You're at the Red Zone here. Yeah.
It's too much. It's too much. So I want to ask you, I mean, I know you're supposed to be asking me, who do you think is going to kind of, like, I want to look at someone like Puka Nacua. Puka had a great year, right?
Great year, yeah.
Cooper's back.
Yes.
So what happens to the Rams?
Well, we know Stafford loves Cooper. He loves him. But Nacua, as I said, had that great year too. You can have both, but I don't know. I really don't know. I think Nacua, he's going high in drafts. If you talk fantasy wise, going very high in first round, and can he have that same year? I really don't know if he's going to have that same type of year. He'll have a good year. I'll say that. He'll have a great year. Will he have that same breakout year? I don't know. I don't believe so.
So who do you pick?
I think I'm going to go with Nacua just because health-wise, I think he could stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know.
That is the bitch of it, right?
Yeah, right.
Guys, like it's a matter of staying healthy. And some of these teams, I'm like, who's your strength and conditioning coach? Because
Right.
How are we falling to this problem again, guys?
Again and again, yeah. I mean, but Cooper Kupp, if he stays healthy, that's a big if. You know that Stafford's, that's his weapon. That's his go-to, no matter how good Puka Nacua is. I mean, they both can have 1,000+ yards for sure, you know, on that in Sean McVay's offense. But I think I might have to take Nacua just because of the health factor. He can stay healthy. So I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna have to.
Okay.
Puka Nacua, yeah.
Here's another one for you. What are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? Look at that. Now we went.
Another one. I mean, Rodgers. I don't know how much does he have left. That would be the question.
How much time?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll look this up for you right now. Aaron Rodgers.
Does he stay healthy?
He's worth $112.5 million for 3 years. $75 million of the contract is fully guaranteed. Rodgers had a $35 million bonus paid in 2023, and his 2023-24 base salaries are fully guaranteed.
So you're talking, okay, so you're thinking, does Aaron Rodgers have 3 more years? He's coming off an Achilles. If he's healthy, if he's the Aaron Rodgers from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the MVP Rodgers, okay, the Jets will be a problem. They're going to be a huge problem because they have the run game. They have a great defense. It's just a quarterback, but they're all in with Aaron Rodgers. If he gets hurt again, they're going to be terrible. So they're banking on a 39-year-old coming off an Achilles injury. I don't know. The Jets they'll be really good if Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Aaron? You think he stays healthy? And
here's what I think. We're going to talk about his football side of things, and we're going to talk about other things. That Achilles is no joke.
Yeah.
We saw what it did to Kobe, the GOAT. Now he, for some reason, was healing a lot quicker. That's great. Did I love that he was missing the first 2 weeks of practice? No. But, when I brought this up on Fighter and the Kid, like Brendan was like, he's Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't have to show up to practice. And I was like, well, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. But sure. And then when you find out where was he? Oh, he was off at an ayahuasca retreat. Okay. So here's my thing. Here's my thing, Aaron. I am never going to get politically into whether you wanted to get a vaccine or not vaccine. But here's, as a woman, I don't like. Don't bullshit anyone.
Yes.
If you didn't get vaccinated and you are so proud that you didn't, say I didn't do it. Don't come out here and be like, I've been immunized.
Yes.
Shut up.
Yes.
Shut up.
Yep.
Like, who are you as an athlete to be chomping on mushrooms and smoking weed and doing ayahuasca and doing DMT and doing ketamine or whatever else you're doing?
Yeah.
Is that okay for you?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the other side of that's the other thing with Aaron Rodgers, as you said, all these other issues and all these other things. Just play football. Just go out there, perform at the highest level as you used to be the MVP Aaron Rodgers, and do your thing. And try to win another Super Bowl.
That's what it comes down to, is just playing football. Like, I don't care about that other stuff. You know, like with Colin Kaepernick, I'm not educated enough to get into the aspects of what he's doing. But the one thing Stephen A. Smith said that I've never in my life agreed with Stephen A. Smith is that take out the talk of Aaron Rodgers kneeling. Take out the talk of that. At the end of the day, I'm sorry, not Aaron Rodgers. What am I saying? Colin Kaepernick. Take out the talk of Colin Kaepernick kneeling. At the end of the day, Colin Kaepernick is not a good enough quarterback to be in the NFL. Mm-hmm. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear about your gluten intolerance. I don't want to hear about your issues with things, because that is your personal business. Let me tell you something, Courtney. If I sat here for the next 35 minutes and told you everything in the world that bothered me, oh boy.
Right. For sure. I agree.
And then when the Chargers were talking about hiring him, I was like, no.
You're like,
I don't care. You're a cancer. You're just a certain cancer. You know, you're like the Draymond Greens. You don't do good. You're Allen Iverson. You don't do good. You're a cancer to this team. I think Stephon Diggs is a cancer to a team.
Yeah,
Who are you, Stephon, to yell at Caleb?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, just play football. Just do your thing and do your just go out there, perform, do your thing, and because you're on another, like Stephon Diggs leaving Buffalo, and him and Josh Allen having their disputes and things like that. You just left one of the best quarterbacks in the league, best teams in the league. Now you're going to another good team with an ascending quarterback. And now you're going to do the same. This might be his last opportunity, Stephon Diggs, in football, because who's going to want to think, as talented as he is, who's going to want him? You know?
No.
All right.
What do you think happened with the Dolphins last year?
They can't play. For one, they don't play well in the cold weather. For one, and if they're not on a fast track to just be able to, they could be had. So if they go to Buffalo, they go to Baltimore, they go to these cold weather teams that of teams, cities, they don't do well. That's what it is. So that's Miami's problem. They just don't play well in the cold.
They just don't play well in the cold. I just don't get it. They have so many targets.
So much talent. Yeah.
So much talent. Tua is so good. Hill is so good. I don't get it. I don't.
There's a lot of teams that have that same issue. They just, when it gets to the playoffs and the bright lights, they fold. And Miami, good as offensively they were, and they had a lot of injuries too in defense. But it's just one of those things where they don't step up as a top team. They were a top team all year, and they just don't step up when it matters. When it matters.
In the beginning of the year, they were undefeated, and we were like, "Oh,
they're running away." Yeah.
We were running away with it, you know. And I also want to ask you: do you have a favorite coach?
Andy Reid. I mean, former Eagles
Walrus.
coach. Oh. Yes. Former he was my. I mean, I was so mad when he left Philly, and I know he was here for 15 years, but he led us to 5 NFC championship. We was at a Super Bowl, and yeah, we didn't get the job done with him, but he was such. I mean, and then he goes to Kansas City, wins 3 Super Bowls. I love Andy Reid. That's my favorite coach. What about you? Who's your favorite coach?
Currently speaking, who I really like, it's going to be an odd one, is Robert Saleh.
Okay.
I like his demeanor. Mm-hmm. I like he's not a BSer.
Right.
He's not coming out and being like, we've got Aaron Rodgers and we're going to win. He's a very true loyalist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I dig that about Saleh. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a really, really smart coach. moving forward. And I, gosh, I could tell you who I don't like. I hate Sean Payton. Put a damn hat on. I don't want to see the top of your head.
Put a hat on, man.
Put a hat on. And I don't respect coaches that badmouth their quarterbacks. You showed me right then and there.
Yep.
First off, I'm Persian, all right? We keep our shit tight. If something's going wrong in the house when we leave, you ain't ever going to know. We're going to be smiling at everybody.
Right.
But like, for you to go out there and be like, well, he should spend more time not kissing babies and doing this and this and this. He never had the faith he should have had in him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And what bummed me about that was when your coach doesn't have faith in you, you don't have faith in you.
Right.
And then I don't like what they did to him at the end, pretty much forcing him to change a contract. That was shady.
Very shady.
Sean Payton, I don't forget you. You're a cheater, boo-boo. I don't forget that shit, just like I'll never forget Deflategate. Yeah. So I really dislike his character. I don't want him to do well. Plus, you have to remember last year was the sophomore year of his contract. To him, it was like, this is a wash. You know, let's see who I get next year, you know. But Russell Wilson, I still think might have a good 2-3 years less than him if placed on the right team.
Yeah, he's in a good situation too with the Pittsburgh. So just Mike Tomlin can try to get the best out of him. You know, I could see that with Russell Wilson. Now they end up getting the backup from the Bears quarterback. They got him as their backup. So
who else did they just get to?
Yeah, they just got. I gotta look it up real quick. So, but they got Justin Fields. They got Justin Fields to back up. Justin Fields, and so Wilson was named the starter because of the experience. And I've always been a Russell Wilson fan.
Me too.
So he just, like I say, I think he got part of a raw deal in Denver. I agree. So now, but if Tomlin can't get the best out of him, Russell Wilson probably just doesn't have any more left in him as a starter.
I agree.
As a starter.
Tomlinson is another one of those quarterbacks that can see the prize, knows how to get to it, and is going to work his ass off to get to it. And I respect him as a coach so much. I'm so glad he didn't retire.
Right.
We still need him. We really do. So it's just, I don't know. The coaching this year has been rough. Is Nick Chubb back, by the way?
He's gonna miss the first 4 games. Yeah, first 4 to 6 games, I believe. So he's not back yet. So he's still recovering from that injury that he had. I think he tore his ACL, so he's coming back. So yeah, Cleveland, that division is gonna be tough because of Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. So I mean, you had all those teams make the playoffs last year, except for Cincinnati, and now with Joe Burrow back, all 4 could make it.
Yeah, I mean,
so
what's your thoughts about a female ref being on the field?
I don't mind it. I like it. I love it. Like, male or female, as long as they ref the game just right, and don't matter to me. And just be a good ref and ref the game correctly and right and make the right calls. I'm with it.
So here's the thing I have with that, because I used to do sideline reporting. And I remember one day we were in a pinch and they're like, "Hey, Sanaz, can you do color commentating?" And I was just like, "No." And they're like, "Well, why not?" I'm like, "I never played the game. I can't do it." So I think in order to be a ref, a color commentator, you really got to have an extensive knowledge.
Right.
My only fear is sometimes these refs, and it's more so in hockey, they get banged up.
They do. They really do.
And I wonder, and I can't wait to see if the way the men respond to that, if that makes sense. You know?
No, true. I mean, you're gonna have those idiots that just don't want females in the women into their sports. But I mean, it's 2024. We have to, you know what I mean. So I'm with you on that. So so Naz, I'm gonna, because I know we could go forever.
I know, man.
No, we're all good. I mean, I really always enjoy having you on the show and enjoy your content and everything too. So I really appreciate your time and
thank you for having me on. I love your show.
I do. Thank you. I'm glad to have you on. We got to talk to the NBA when it starts in a couple of months. Who would have thought NBA is going to be here soon?
Listen. I'm ready.
Yes, me too. Me too. In the NBA, NHL, like you said, when it starts in October, we would definitely do another show.
I would, and I'd love to be your NHL correspondent because man, oh man, I'm a big hockey nerd, basketball nerd, football nerd. Don't know much my golf, but like I love it. And I mean, you know me, you're gonna get the raw, unfiltered.
Of course, yes, and that's why I like having you on the show. Yeah, I love having that. You know, different perspectives and things like that. So, but I love the conversation we always have and the friendship we've built over the last few years. And but let everyone know where they can follow your content on all platforms.
Sanaa Said So. That's the Instagram right now. Mainly focuses Fighter and the Kid. We've got a truck giveaway that ends Sunday. We got a new Mustang coming out after that. It's a sick truck. It's awesome to do. Side note, I'm no longer affiliated with Football is Sexy. One day I just got ghosted by Monica, and so did Melissa and Diana. So we don't know where she is. Whatever. We're hoping to get the rest of our paychecks, but she's doing good. But wish her nothing but the best. And I hope her dreams come true because she deserves it. And that's about it. So yeah, like I'll be doing my own football content, hockey content. And
can't wait.
And one thing I always say to everybody who follows me, I am here for you. If there's ever a time where any of you feel you need a safe space to talk, you need someone to go to. Life is hard. Everyone's battling their own battle. I am. Courtney is. We all are. Yep. So you reach out to me and I will do my best to respond to you. Sports brings us together. Sports makes us a family, and I'm here to help in any way I can.
Absolutely. I love that. And like I said, I've always reached out to Sanaz, and we said when she's on Instagram Live, we be chatting away. And you're right. Like, I can't wait for your content. I've always liked your football content and just the content in general. But Fighter and the Kid, follow Sanaz Said So on Instagram. And everything is all good. Thank you. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. And you have a great day. And let's get season going.
Yeah, let's go.
NFL into our fantasy teams, brother.
Yeah, fantasy team. I'm looking forward to. I got my last draft tomorrow with my. I got a league like kind of like what you do. I have our podcast league that we do. We have like 10 podcasts, like the same ones have been on for the last 5 years, and we got our draft tomorrow night, so I'm looking forward. That's the one I'm always looking forward to. So
how many leagues you do?
I do. Well, I'm in 3 this year. I did 2 last year, and then I do a lot of DraftKings stuff too. So
no. You gotta do 1, and it's got to be a good $500 buy-in.
Usually I do 1, but I'm doing 3 this year, trying to win some big money. So this
you gotta win some money. You gotta pay this podcast, baby.
Yeah, you know it. You already know. So so I'm doing 3 this year, but the main one's tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. And the trash talking and just dominating as always. So I'm looking forward to it. So, but Sanaz, thank you again. Really appreciate you. And I'll share this clip with you probably by tomorrow. I'll edit this tonight or tomorrow. So. But yeah, looking forward for NFL season and like I said, community and what we do. So this is what we do.
Yeah, dude, we got to do a little recap sometimes at the end.
Yeah, we do. I do. I'm with it. So I'll definitely reach out for sure.
I love it. Hey, fly, Eagles, fly.
You know it. Yes, yes.
Victor. I know the whole song.
Yours a victory. Yes. So, all right, then you have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
You too, brother. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was a wrap for the show. I want to thank all my guests, Gabby Hurlbut, Aaron Mulligan, Crystal Stone, and Sanaz Tafaso. Thank you again to everyone that tuned in, everyone that it's been almost a 4-hour show, so I'm going to give you something to eat. So thank you to everyone. And as always, follow the show, follow the content, share it, like it, BS3 Network, The Real Deal with Courtney Harden, at Get The Real Deal. Follow it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all podcast platforms as well, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Spreaker, the Roku channel, BS3 TV, Roku channel. Until next time, peace. As always, God bless.